you're a player, I don't think you are going to want to see that go.
Right. And I think the NFL is presenting that, and my theory is the NFL is presenting that as this is something we really, really want to get rid of. And then when they concede that to the players, oh, well, okay, we'll let you have this. We won't worry about the void.
Yes.
We'll let you have what's already happening. We will concede what is already taking place. But we want this in return. So if there is an 18-game schedule, it does have to be voted on. It does have to be agreed to. And Lloyd Howe, the executive director of the NFLPA, has already said there are a number of different issues that will be discussed before they agree to an 18-game schedule. So that would be an 18-game schedule and 2 preseason games. 17 right now with 3. It'd be 18 games and 2. So I want to talk about that and what the fallout of that ultimately will be. So Adam Teicher will join us at 11 o'clock, Les Norman, then Todd Lebo. Let's talk about the Royals. We start there, 913-912-4810. They get ready for this homestand against the Tampa Bay Rays. And we mentioned the 19 games they have remaining before the All-Star break. And if they go 10-19, this is a team that would be 3 games under 500. They would be, or 10-9, I should say. 10-9, they would be 1 game under 500. If they go 9-10, they would be 3 games under 500 because that would put them at 47-50 at the All-Star break, as opposed to 49 or 48 and 49, which is it's a couple of games, right? 1 win, 1 more win, 1 fewer loss. It's 1 less loss. It makes a difference in the standings. It seems like it's pretty arbitrary when you're saying 10-9 versus 9-10. Because a 4-2 road trip and a 5-1 road trip is quite massive, it feels like, coming off that 6-game trip and the loss to the Padres on Sunday. But I think a lot is going to be decided over these next 19 games. And I don't know that I can say, here's what the record should be. Here's what I would like them to do if I'm going to say the Royals are going to be buyers, or here's what would have to happen if the Royals are going to be sellers. Because I think a lot depends on some of the ancillary parts of this, some of the peripheral issues and other teams, what they do. For example, the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
The latest news today is not great for them. So last night, Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez left the game early. All right, that sucks. Well, this morning they have confirmed and put on the IL Corbin Carroll with a wrist fracture. I mean, you're the Diamondbacks fighting for your playoff lives in a much tougher league, the National League, than the Royals in the American League. And you lose Corbin Carroll for however long with a broken wrist. And Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez leave the game early. Suarez is a guy that has been connected with the Royals.
Yeah.
So if they get into trade and selling mode, it might lower the cost of Suarez because you would know they were selling off. Whereas the Royals right now could ask for a king's ransom for some of their players. Like if the Royals decided, all right, we're going to take offers. We're going to do it behind the scenes, quietly as possible. We're going to be in discussions. And if somebody wants to offer something for Seth Lugo, and look what he's done his last 3 games. If somebody wants to offer something for Seth Lugo, we'll listen. Because there is nobody that's untouchable except maybe Bobby Witt, maybe Jack. I think Vinny is close because of what he means to the clubhouse. Also, I think Vinny is way more valuable to Vinny, Pasquantino, and Nick Bolton. I'm going to compare these guys because Nick Bolton was more valuable to the Chiefs and what they view, what he does, and Steve Spagnuolo wants in a middle linebacker than he is to some other teams and maybe some fans clamoring for Nick Bolton because of, well, look at the coverage grades, right? The Chiefs valued Nick Bolton more than other teams would. And I think Nick Bolton is more important to the Chiefs than maybe he is to other teams. I said that with Mike Dana last year, that Mike Dana is not going to get the contract people think he is because they're not going to view Mike Dana. They're going to look at the numbers, and they're not going to view him the way that the Chiefs will in the versatility of sliding him down inside or being a guy that can set the edge. It's like, okay, you want a defensive end that can do multiple things, right? But is he a master of any one of them? So he's just sort of generic at multiple things? Well, I ain't paying for that guy. Whereas Steve Spagnuolo's like, no, this is what I can do with Dana. I can put him here. I can do this. It allows me to do this over here. I can blitz this guy when I've got Dana in this spot. More valuable there. I think Vinny is more valuable to the Royals than another team that would view him as first base DH and the numbers he's putting up,
Sure.
what he means in the clubhouse. So I don't think he's untouchable. I think the Royals may view it that way. He wasn't untouchable when they were going to trade for Jesus Luzardo a couple of off seasons ago when they eventually signed Michael Wacha. But now we have seen Vinny last year, should have been a 100 RBI guy, and that presence in the clubhouse. And now we're seeing what he does as well when his bat is heating up and playing the way that he is, and also improving at first base. Not sure what the underlying numbers say, but I see a guy that's pretty good over at first base.
Early on, he was grading out extremely well at first base, which
might
was
have come back to the pack a little bit with that. I'm not sure.
He has outs above average. He's in the 83rd percentile for first baseman.
Great.
So
Yeah, he's working on that, improving that as well.
been good.
So I would say there aren't many, if any, untouchables. Seth Lugo certainly wouldn't be one of them. Right now, Cole Reagans would be one of them because there's no way you trade Cole Reagans right now, being injured. You would get pennies on the dollar for that.
Sure.
You'd get a discount. So the Royals' position is, they could ask for a king's ransom for Seth Lugo. And some teams may do that. The Chicago Cubs have, 7 straight games of allowing 6 or more runs in a game? I mean, that's a team that traded for Kyle Tucker to go all in and then to try to keep Kyle Tucker. What would it say to Kyle Tucker if they said, we're going to give up some of these minor league prospects so that we can solidify our pitching staff and go get Seth Lugo, Kyle Tucker? This is how committed we are to winning a World Series here in Chicago with you. You want to sign and stay here because we're going to keep doing this. So it might be worth, what's it worth? You're going to have to pay Kyle Tucker regardless, but is it worth a couple of prospects and then the money you would pay him to make sure that he signs with you, but also you get Seth Lugo in the interim to go and try to win? Can you be blown away by an offer? I don't know if that's the case, but the Royals are in a different position right now than I think what the Diamondbacks are now going to embark on with the Carroll injury and with Naylor and Suarez leaving the game early, how the next 2 weeks might turn out for them if they go on a prolonged losing streak and they are no longer in contention in a tough National League. They become sellers, and you have to take a little bit less money or a little bit less for what you're trading. The Royals aren't in that position, and I don't know if they will be in that position come end of July.
Well, what's even better for the Royals if they were going to shop Seth Lugo? If
and right now
they
I
were
think
going
it's-
to shop. Again, you know my thoughts. As of now, you have 19 days. As of now, I would still be on the buy side. But if you were going to trade Lugo, it helps that Zach Gallen, who was going to be one of the higher trade market pieces, has been buns this year. He's got a 5.6 ERA. He was really good the past few seasons. He was outstanding. He's been brutal.
And he's also I'm pretty sure he's a high innings guy. That over the course of his last 4 or 5 years, those innings have started to rack up. Not a surprise that he was starting to his numbers slide the wrong way.
It's weird because he was a Diamondback, and another guy, Merrill Kelly, also a Diamondback, has not been the same. He's not in the Seth Lugo category. Mm-hmm. But the other guy who was really popular, who a lot of folks thought was going to get traded this year, and then he's been horrendous, still think he's going to get traded because he's been a little better recently, is Sandy Alcantara for Miami. I mean, he was Cy Young winner. He was going to be the focal point of the trade deadline. And he had a 8 ERA up until a couple weeks ago. He's had a couple of really nice starts over his past, I believe, 3 or 4 starts, and he's looked a little bit more like the guy that folks thought he was. But he had Tommy John surgery in 2024, and this could just be a good 4-game stretch because overall he was trending down in 23 after a Cy Young season in 22. I don't know what that value is going to be. Seth Lugo is the prize. If you're looking at a starting pitcher at the trade deadline, it's Seth Lugo, Gap, and then you have the next iteration or next level of players. So if the Royals were going to, this would be the year to do it. This would be the time to do it. I don't know if I like them doing it, but sometimes you have to, and maybe you get creative. Maybe you still shop Seth Lugo because the value's too good, and you are able to bring up Kyle Wright if you trust him. Maybe it's Rich Hill. Sorry, Dick Mountain.
Thank you.
I don't know, but I think the Royals are going to have to get creative here because right now they might get an offer too good to pass up on Seth Lugo.
Right. And then, there are, a number of other things that go along with that.
Cole Reagans.
Cole Reagans, what his health is. Kyle Wright, what he may look like as, back from a rehab stint or whatever and reinstated. Alec Marsh, I'm not even sure what the latest development is with Alec Marsh and what you got from him last year. But it could also be can you go out and re-sign Seth Lugo at the end of this year? Maybe. But there's in the clubhouse conversation of Seth Lugo saying, well, yeah, but we were in contention last year, and you traded me. So you want
Flaherty.
Yeah, but they were out of contention, though. That's the
Yeah,
difference.
they went on a historic run. Yeah.
After Flaherty, but they had, what, a 1% chance of making the playoffs, and then they've been the best team in Major League Baseball since the trade deadline last year. And so Seth Lugo, the view, I think, would be different of, hold on, we were in contention and you traded me. But now you want me to come back because you're saying that, you're definitely going to go for it. Well, that's what we thought last year. But then you traded me. So that could be part of the conversation, too, with Seth Lugo. I am not advocating one way or another at this point because I think they're directly in a holding pattern leaning towards buying. But what I'm saying is the Arizona Diamondbacks now, with the impact of Corbin Carroll, I don't know that they're able to tread water the rest of the way before it comes to trade deadline time. And if you are going to be a buyer, Suarez might have gotten a little bit cheaper, depending on what the injury with him and everything moving forward is going to be. He might have become a little bit cheaper in the cost acquisition for him.
Well, and they have Jordan Lawler in the minors, who, even if they're still trying for a playoff push, you at least have a guy that's knocking on the door. That's their Cags, basically. That's their up-and-coming stud. So he plays third base. So for them, Suarez is almost, he's been great, but I don't want to say replaceable.
Yeah.
But I think long-term, best-case scenario for the Diamondbacks, he would be replaceable.
I also wonder, too, if, we're talking about a bat. I mean, looks like they need to be in the market for an arm in the bullpen, too. Because Zerpa did not come through in that situation. Schreiber has not come through a couple of times. Taylor Clark is not the dominant shutdown guy that's not allowing base runners the way that he was for a certain stretch of time. Estevez is good. I mean, you give him 2 runs to work with, and I think he's going to get the save done. I think he'll take care of that. And Urseg is not the guy that he was last year, unfortunately. The guy that he was for the A's and Royals last year was incredibly dominant, shut down, was striking guys out, swing and miss, whiff percentage, all of that stuff. He hasn't been that guy this year, and definitely has not been that guy as of late, because not only lacking of the dominance that he had before, since coming back from the IL, he's got a whip over 2. He's allowing 2 base runners per inning each time. He wasn't allowing anybody on base. He would come in, and it was done. Bases loaded, 1 out, he'd get out of it. Find a way to get out of it. He was that good and that dominant, and he hasn't been that. And I can't imagine last year an 0-2 pitch being left that much in the strike zone over the plate and sort of pretty close to middle with an 0-2 pitch against a bad hitter, that you wouldn't have a pitch here or there. You're not a starter trying to conserve your pitch count for 7 innings. You get out of that with 2 outs. Not I'm going to throw strikes and I'm going to strikeouts are fascist and I'm going to throw ground balls. They're more democratic. I want to make sure that everybody else is involved here. I don't think there's any chance.
What do nihilists do?
I'm not sure. They just hit people. I don't think there's any chance he throws that pitch last year and misses the location. Maybe he does. Maybe there are other examples, but he hasn't looked like Lucas Urseg. And we'll find out. I think one day we'll find out what the latest is with Hunter Harvey. It might be 2028, but I think we'll get an update on Hunter Harvey.
I think we're still waiting on Jordan Lyles, so I get in line.
Getting Lyles and it's we'll see when we get an update on Jordan Lyles and what's taking place there. But I do wonder at this point, does Matt Quatrero have to reassess his entire bullpen? Because
Yes.
there were 2 things that were sort of the steadying forces of a bullpen. Estevez was the 9th, and Urseg was the guy in the 7th or 8th maybe the sixth, that would come on, get you out of a jam, face the middle of the lineup. I mean, at what point does that role have to change for Urseg from what we've seen him do recently? I don't think it's right now, and I don't think it's anytime soon, quite frankly, for Quattrero. We saw how long he stayed with Zerpa and Sam Long early in the season. I don't think a couple of outings he's going to look at Urseg and go, well, everything you did for us last year and so far this year, we're going to ignore that, and now the last couple, that's what we're going to go with, you're out of that role. Or maybe it's better for Urseg if he has more of a specific role that it is just Urseg is your setup man. Urseg now becomes your eighth inning guy. And you find a way to mix and match lefty, righty, all of that stuff that Q loves to do in the sixth and seventh inning. Because that seems to be the sixth inning and sometimes the seventh inning seem to be the biggest issues for this Royals team. Maybe even the seventh inning more. Because it feels like, well, this pitcher went 6 innings, left with the lead, and did not get a win. This pitcher left 6 1/3 with the lead, did not qualify for the win, or did not get the win because of the game being tied. It feels like that's the issue there, which is why they've used Urseg in different places so that you can then get to the 8th and then eventually to the 9th. But if you're not getting there with Urseg, is it better for him now to stabilize whatever's going on with his stuff to simply be, this is your routine, this is what you're doing, this is your role, it's the 8th inning. Maybe it's 2 outs in the 7th, and we might need 4 outs of a setup. Or maybe we get 3 outs from you, and then we can go 4 outs with Estevez.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be prepared at any point from the 6th inning on that you're going to come in the game.
So I have some fairly interesting, early strong thoughts on this Royals bullpen, but I don't want to piss Dylan off.
Yeah. You don't want to make Bill. You know what? You don't want to.
I won't like him when
he's angry. Dylan mad.
This is early. If we went to break now, it'd be early.
Dylan mad. Dylan smash buttons. Let's take a timeout. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk with Adam Teicher coming up at 11 o'clock. I believe the penultimate conversation with Adam Teicher happens a half hour from now.
I'm going to miss him.
He will be riding off into the mountain. Well, I guess he would be heading west, so he'll be riding off into the sunset, depending on what time of the day he drives west to Colorado.
Westbound and west, because it's really not down.
Yeah.
It's just west.
Westbound and left. Depending on if you're heading north, then you would go left.
Yeah, I
If you're heading
guess.
south, then you take a right. If you're heading west, you would just go straight. If you're heading east, you would need to do a U-turn at that point. Just a couple lefts at that point.
Heading
or
into
a
the
couple
sunset,
rights.
literally.
Yeah, he is. I'm telling you. I learned the other
Riding
day.
off into the sunset, I guess, literally.
Well, that was Jared Allen.
yeah.
Although it was cloudy that day. And he made a joke about the fact that it was cloudy, so he was trying to ride off into the sunset, literally on a horse. But the clouds limited what could be a great scene
Yeah.
of him with his cowboy hat and his Canadian tuxedo riding a horse.
Strong look. It was
on
a
into the,
great thought.
It's great, man.
All you
Absolutely.
can count.
It was awesome.
All you can go off.
I just thought maybe could you do it like the next day or the day? Did you have to do it that day to ride out, or was it?
He
part-
may have rented the horse that day.
I don't think Jared Allen rents a horse. I think he owns them.
Well, but that particular steed,
That particular horse he
that
rented?
stallion,
You got it at Avis, you know. Hertz.
No, Enterprise. They'll pick you up.
they'll
Yeah.
pick you up.
He rides a horse. They're riding
Some
a
guy
horse while
named Mark
holding the other
just
one.
picks you up
know?
on that thing.
Just galloping along. God, I wish it was Xavier Leggett.
Oh man,
Xavier Leggett picked me up on that horse, man. Did you see the video that I think he put out or somebody put out of their big neighborhood, cookout barbecue that they had? It's amazing, man. Just everybody in the neighborhood riding their horse to it.
Yeah.
You know, look, I'm telling you, man, there is a pregame show out there that has an opportunity to have a phenomenal segment, and that is just talking life with Xavier Leggett.
yeah.
With that accent and the accent and even the conversation he had with Kay Adams at the Kentucky Derby
Yeah.
was just awesome. I mean, and I just want to hear him talk more, and I want to hear him talk about eating food
Yes.
and how you prepare certain foods.
Take your clothes off.
Like raccoons, took the clothes off there, everything, clean them up, man. Yeah, we about to dig into that raccoon this weekend, man. Oh, it's amazing.
The most southern accent you have ever heard. I told you,
So great, dude.
I interviewed him after he was drafted, and it was the most fun conversation because I had no idea what he sounded like. Right before I get on,
So great.
right before I got on the call with him, I think it was his PR team told me, and this he was like, just so you know, he has a very strong accent. And I had no idea what to expect. And then that comes on, and I'm trying not to laugh the whole time. It was just, he is enlightening. He is fun. He gets it. He loves his horses.
I know.
I wish he was a chief.
Which
Just,
is why he
just to
was-
hear him for pressers.
Which is why he was at the Kentucky Derby there with Kay Adams. Is those great horses. So yeah, I just want I want more.
They need to let him do Riders Up.
Oh
That's
man,
what we need.
Have him call the race.
That too.
that would be that would be awesome. Yes, trying to find the audio of him at the Derby with Kay Adams. Like I want to hear his conversation. He was talking. Man,
You looked that up, and I'm going to talk about why I think
Yeah.
Evan Sisk needs to be called up to the majors.
yes, please do that.
Okay, so the Royals are having a lot of bullpen issues. This is not at all what the Royals bullpen thought it was going to be. Last year, it was really solid. This year, especially to end last year. But I think people are somewhat forget the struggles of the early season bullpen last year. And this bullpen currently is starting to feel the in-between of the brutal Royals bullpen and the one that ended very strongly.
It's a little purgatory a little bit.
Little purgatory. I believe Dante Alighieri wrote something about that. But
It was Danny. Was his original name. He changed it to Dante.
okay.
It's a screen name.
Okay. But with Zerpa really struggling, with Sam Long, I have no idea why he's on this team. It makes no sense. He had a 10 ERA in the minors, 9 ERA in the majors. You have no lefty arm that you trust. Evan Sisk was solid in his time in the majors. 1.69 ERA, 11 strikeouts in 5 innings. you need a strikeout pitcher, right? 11 strikeouts in 5 innings. Is that good, Jason? Small sample size, but is that good?
If you're looking for those things.
If you're looking for those things. Because right now, John Schreiber, believe it or not, has the best strikeout numbers of any bullpen arm for the Royals.
Really?
Not great, Bob. In the minors,
No.
what do you think Evan Sisk has done?
I think if you are bringing this up, I think he's been pretty good in the minors.
Yeah, he's got a .49 ERA.
Okay.
Yeah, .49.
I don't think you'd bring it up if he had like a 9 ERA.
Maybe it's just me, but I would prefer the guy with the .49 ERA who's been good in the majors versus a guy in Sam Long who's been brutal in the majors this year, because we know the every other year split of Sam Long, which is ridiculous, and who had a 10 ERA in AAA. Now, that's just me, but I would go with the guy with the .49 ERA when I'm looking at a team that has bullpen issues and needs a lefty that they trust. Maybe I'm on a limb here, but that 1.49 ERA seems pretty damn good.
Yeah, Dylan, you pitched .49 or 9. Which one would you rather have?
And
Both have a 9.
They both have a 9 in
both
it.
have a
so-
9 in it. So would you rather have a point? I feel like I would rather have a .49 ERA than a 9 ERA.
Yeah.
So I think I'm in agreement with Sterling, and I don't like agreeing with him.
Yeah.
But that's
Sorry,
kind of
Sam Long
obvious.
has an 11 ERA in the majors.
never mind.
I give him too little.
They no longer have the connection of the 9.
Yeah.
So there's
11.25.
How long do you stay with Urseg in his role as the fireman that goes up against the heart of the order?
As long as he's still your best bullpen arm. I
I'm
know
with you.
I know he's
there's a couple 3 more chances for Urseg because of the track record before I go, all right, something's different this year. Maybe it's the back, maybe it's a lingering something else. But now I need to put him in just the 8th inning or something along those lines. I'm still using him this way, but it's on the radar of whether or not I need to change.
Steven Cruz has been the only other guy who I think has been consistently dominant. I know Estevez has been really good in these moments. ERA's great, whip's pretty dang solid. He still looks like a guy that's not getting enough strikeouts. His whiff percentage is really bad for a closer. 4 percentile is his chase percentage. His whiff percentage is 3 percentile. So I'm a little concerned still with Carlos.
Well, that's what I said. You give him a 2-run lead, I think he's going to take care of the
Yes.
save. A 1-run save is a little nip-tuck.
Now-
A little more worrisome for me if it's a 3-2 game or, let's be honest, probably 2-1 game.
And I don't want to. He's been really good. The actual results of Carlos Estevez has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit like Daniel Lynch, where you could see the other shoe starting to drop. It's not going to be the same extent with Carlos, but I still think there's a situation where I'm like, I don't think he's a 2.14 ERA good this year. I think that he's more in that 3-ish,
What's his FIP?
4.01.
Okay. What's his expected ERA?
That's what it is, 4.01. So I don't have the.
Oh, sorry.
I don't have the FIP up, but the expected ERA is 4.01.
I'll look at it. I mean, that's fine, too. It gets the job done.
So he's
for
got the
this.
job done, but with Urseg, he still is the guy with him and
It's a 3.61 FIP.
Yeah.
So still almost it's a 1.5. So it's a run and a half ERA worse than what his actual ERA is.
So that's all I'm saying is I don't think he's going to be this consistently good. Ursig is still your best bet, man. I mean, Steven Cruz, yes, I love him for the 7th, or if you put Ursig in the fireman role and you need him to come in the 8th, I am now firmly believing in Steven Cruz. But Ursig is just, he's got to get right.
Yeah.
And this Royals bullpen is going to go as far as he goes because they're counting on him.
Yeah.
He was a guy last year who was one of the best bullpen arms in all of baseball.
100%.
In all of baseball.
I mean, we were talking about him and the cyborg of waiter, check, please, and Urseg. Like, all right, this is a done deal, man. Urseg's out there, it's done. Wade Davis is out there, done deal, man.
And if you've been watching the Royals, not just the box scores, I know you're going to say, why are you complaining about a 2.2 ERA for Urseg? Because if you watch it, you can tell he is not the same guy now that he was pre-injury or even last year.
And it's interesting because he's only allowed, 3 inherited runners all season? 2 of those came on Sunday.
Yeah.
Which is the most recent outing, so it certainly sticks out. Before we take a break, let's go ahead and hear Xavier Leggett at the Derby talking about T-Mac, his newest teammate that was drafted in the first round by the Carolina Panthers.
Have you talked to Tetaroa?
Tetaroa? No.
You haven't?
Uh-uh.
How does that work with wide receivers and wide receiver rooms?
You see, man, I didn't want to text him yet. I want to talk to him when he come in so I can build that relationship with him once he get in there. But He a good player, man. I was even watching him play last year, seeing what he was doing. He making some incredible catches. I think he's gonna do good in the
What
NFL.
sticks out about him when you're watching?
Man, just the way how he can go up and high point that ball, and he kind of quick too. He kind of quick.
He's quick. I love that. I mean, that's big expectations for Bryce Young.
I haven't texted him yet. He kind of quick too. Just more Xavier Legette, please.
I was waiting for like the ping of like the dip spit to the thing.
The
like, in
spittoon.
between
The
words.
spittoon,
Yeah,
the
there you
Old
go.
time spittoon. He needs like spurs and to walk in.
Oh, 100%,
he should be in
man.
movies. You're telling me that guy's not in a Quentin Tarantino movie? You're telling me he's not?
He should be in a lot of movies, man. Just playing
country
almost
singer.
himself.
Country singer.
Okay.
You're telling me he's not going to write a great country song?
I bet he could. Yeah. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back and maybe we'll hear more Xavier Legette. I have no idea. Or we'll talk about Fernando Tatis's lawsuit, which is interesting. We'll get into the NFL collusion case. Adam Teicher will join us at 11 o'clock. Chris Bubich goes to the mound tonight. Carter Jensen is officially a storm chaser. They are in Indianapolis tonight, so he will get his AAA career underway tonight, which we said last week that the way that Carter Jensen is tearing through AA since Jack was called up to AAA, that he was deserving of a promotion, and once he gets that promotion to AAA, 2026 is on the table. Him playing in 2026 is 100% on the table. He's at AAA now. You finish the season, second half of the season at AAA, your ETA turns into that next year. His ETA to me is now 2026. If he continues on the trajectory, the path that he's on, in swinging the bat that he is, playing the way that he is, and if he is now the man that will take over for Salvi, or is it he and then Blake Mitchell? Like, we'll find out what the future is. But he starts his Omaha Storm Chaser career tonight.
He is a top 100 prospect. He is the number 82 overall prospect according to MLB Pipeline.
Mm-hmm. And I think if they did an update soon, depending on who graduated from prospect status and who hasn't, I think the way that he has been swinging the bat in his last 60 games, I think it is, 30 games, sorry, last 30 games. It's been 30 games since Jack got promoted to AAA. In his last 30 games, he would be moving up quickly. And if he continues this in AAA, he'll continue to do that. We'll take a timeout, come back, more Zone next. But it has been 30 games since Jack got called up to AAA. So he and Jack Caglione in the lineup together. Jack Caglione gets a call up to AAA. Since then, Carter Jensen in 30 games is batting .380, getting on base at .430, and slugging .517. He's got a .947 OPS in those 30 games. 7 doubles, 3 home runs, 10 walks, 6 stolen bases for a catcher, and then 23 RBIs in the 30 games. So deserving of the call-up. Last week I wondered when that was going to be the case. Texted him, said about time that you got the call-up, dude. We'll talk with him over the next few days. But he's got to get acclimated, man. He's going up. It's whirlwind right now. You know what I mean? He's not only is he going from AA, he's not going up to Omaha where he's going to be for a while. He's going to Indianapolis. You know, he's going to be in Indianapolis for a week before heading back to Omaha. Because, you know, in the minor leagues, they have like 6-game series. And so, you know, they got a 6-game series let's see, today. Yeah, so a 6-game series against Indianapolis before an off day and then returning home to Omaha a week from today. So he'll be in Indianapolis for a number of days. So he'll get the latest on what's going on with Halliburton. You know, and what the fallout of the Pacers' loss is for Carter Jensen. But I do wonder, and we'll have to find out what the next couple of months will look like for him. Because here's the thing. If they felt that Jack Caglione was ready after a number of games in AAA, I'm not saying that Carter Jensen is on that same path and trajectory. But what if he goes to AAA and he mashes for a month? If they said, well, there's nothing more that Jack can accomplish at AAA. Now, the difference being, Carter is a catcher as opposed to Jack learning right field.
Yeah.
Catching at the big leagues is a different beast than catching at AA and AAA.
There would have to be an injury, I think,
Right.
because
So for me,
you're not going to have him sit behind.
Because, again, if you brought him up, there isn't an easy, well, he can play right field. Well, no, that was Jack. We'll put him at DH. Okay, well, you know, if you have him at DH, well, then, I mean, I guess he could be DH if Salvi's definitely the catcher, and then Vinny at first, Jack and right, and then DH and Carter Jensen. Maybe you could do that. It just makes it a little more difficult this year as opposed to we'll see what they do, you know, next year. Dalton Rushing is a guy that is up with the Dodgers and is one of the top 20 prospects in all of baseball and is not playing every day because they have Will Smith. So he's the backup catcher, and that's the way they have viewed it. Now they are trying to win a World Series. I am not saying Carter will be up here in 2025. I'm just saying that timeline, because when Jack Caglione got promoted, God, let me see what the I need to pull these up. I meant to have these numbers.
Of how many games he played in the minors? Or?
No, what his numbers were when Jack got promoted versus what he's done since then. Because I remember when
He was 319, 370, 723 slug for an OPS of over 1,000 and 54 plate appearances in AAA.
in AAA.
He played 12 games. Are you talking about Jack?
No, I'm talking about Carter Jensen. So here we go. On May 19th, so May 18th, the last game that he played with Jack Caglione, he was batting .228, getting on base at .318, and slugging .310. That was Carter. At that point, it was like, man, I don't know. What's going on, dude? Mashing as a high schooler throughout the lower levels. Now you get to AA. Numbers aren't really there. Well, now they are. 30 games, again, OPSing at .947 to get that call up. Let's hear from Xavier Leggett. I don't even care which one we're playing. I just want to hear more Xavier Leggett for S's and G's here. Let's find out what it is. Dylan's giving me the number one.
Asparagus. Did you think people would melt down and react when you said asparagus like they did?
No, I ain't think they. Man, I think I sound as regular to where I'm from.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just tell folks they just
I
ain't never heard
sound
folks
a little
from
strange to you, the way I talk.
No, I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you embrace it, though, or are you like, shut up already, everybody? Like Adam Thielen's walking around like some Xavier whisperer. Only I understand Xavier. What's all that about? What if he's sick one day? What happens?
Yeah, Thielen, that's my guy, man. He swear he know exactly what I'm saying. Sometimes I can see it on his face. He have a look like, I don't know what you just said, but he still be like, oh yeah, okay.
Let's just hear some more before we go to break. You know what? One of our favorites was the Thanksgiving. He was asked what he was going to have for Thanksgiving dinner, that week.
Hey, man, what I'm most excited to eat today, man, it's going to be that coon. Man, my cousin, they called me last night and told me they killed the coon 2 days ago. They took the clothes off and everything, washed them up. Yeah, we about to dive into that today, man.
Come on, man. Shout out to you, man. Happy Thanksgiving, brother.
Happy Thanksgiving, dog.
Most excited about getting into that coon. He said he caught him, took the clothes off and everything, washed him up, took his clothes off. I only want to refer to preparing this meat, whether it be whatever animal, that you first take the clothes off. So you had to take the clothes off that deer to get that venison.
You got that venison, you took the
Got
clothes
that venison.
off.
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to diving into that venison, man, because he caught him, took the clothes off, washed them up and everything. Field dressing is just taking the clothes off.
Just taking the clothes. I mean, dressing. Field
Yes,
dressing.
that's right. You
Clothes off.
undressing.
Undressed. Look at that.
Why don't they call it undressing? You're undressing the deer. But he was looking forward to diving into that raccoon. They caught a raccoon and said, this is Thanksgiving dinner.
Have you had raccoon before?
No, I haven't. Have you?
Would you try it?
If I'm at Xavier Legette's party, I'm going to try anything. I'm going to ride that horse with him. from ESPN, our Chiefs insider. Penultimate conversation with Teicher. Adam, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Good, Jason. How you doing today?
I am doing just fine. Are you still in the area? Are you in Colorado? Where are we talking to Adam Teicher from?
I am overlooking the third fairway at the TPC of Colorado, so I'm a long way from Kansas City now.
Wow. So did we catch you in the middle of a golf round?
No, actually, we are on the course. Our house is on the course. So our
Oh,
back
my
deck,
God.
Backs up to the third fairway, so I can give you a little play-by-play if you want
If you
of some of
can.
the tee shots that come by here.
Please,
if you're interested.
Yes, in the middle of this conversation, if somebody comes by, I do want to know club length, what they're looking at, maybe the approach, if there's wind, what the green is playing like today, uphill, downhill, what the undulations are, the fairway. Those are the things that I would like to know. And by the way, you have just really got under the skin of Sterling Holmes, because Sterling, that I think is the dream of Sterling one day.
What?
Tell
Teicher.
Sterling, come on out here and we'll play a little golf.
Okay, now it'll be nice because now I have the invite. I was like, why am I not invited to this round? But the fact that you gave me a rain check, Adam.
You're gonna have to, if you're gonna come golfing with me, you're gonna have to buy me a meal in Colby, Kansas. Though that's part of this deal here.
I'll bring you a meal on my way. I have a friend moving to Denver, Adam. Okay, I have a friend moving there. I might be helping him move. If you think I'm not going to hit you up when I'm there to go play golf with you, you're out of your gourd. I will be there with you.
All right, and then beers are on me afterwards.
Wow, that
Whoa.
seems like a great deal.
Wow.
So I get a golf with Teicher, and he buys me beer.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm in.
But you got to get the meal in Colby, though.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll get that meal.
Yeah.
He's speaking my love language.
By the way, I don't know how Sterling was able to do this, because typically he can't do two things at once on the show. But Dylan, did you just get the email of Sterling requesting time off next week? That he said he's heading west for something? Did you get that email Sterling just sent?
You're joking, right?
He just sent the requesting time off next week, heading to Teicher's.
Oh, okay.
Manner.
Okay, yeah.
It's odd.
Make sure to bring your clubs.
It's funny for a
I'm
second.
lucky.
I thought you were serious.
I have to.
He did, well, it would be the first time that Sterling would have to take some time off for a golf trip
Right.
here on the show.
I've never
Adam.
done that.
Yes, not this week. He's yet to do that in the last couple of weeks, Adam.
Then he's overdue then.
Yeah, that's right. We were wondering when you would literally ride off into the sunset, going west, when that would happen, and apparently that has taken place.
Yeah, we actually moved end of May.
So jealous.
I actually drove back. I was burning up the rubber on I-70 between here and Kansas City for the
Wow.
OTAs and the mini camp. So, but no more of those. So no more of me in Kansas City for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, did it bring back memories as you were driving to cover camp? Did it bring back memories of going to River Falls, driving to cover camp?
Yeah, it's yeah, but Kansas City is. I didn't know the area in Wisconsin quite like I knew Kansas City. It was kind of weird, I didn't live there anymore, but I knew exactly where I was going when I got to Kansas City. I didn't need Waze or Google Maps or anything. I could find myself. I was in a city where I didn't know, I didn't live, but.
Yeah.
I knew my way around. I hadn't forgotten yet.
I thought it was random that after mini camp last week, you asked the guys if they wanted to go to the Copper Kettle.
Yeah,
So,
an old River Falls landmark. Yeah,
Old Copper
that
Kettle.
and the West Wind for
West
sure.
Wind, yes. You guys going to go out for some drinks? I think we're going to hit up Copper Kettle first and then head out to get some drinks there. Adam Teicher is our guest from ESPN. Speaking of training camp, which you will not be at, there are a number of media members that are pretty pumped about the news that came out with Andy Reid saying that they will not have the rookie 3-day camp, rookies, injured players, quarterbacks that has been canceled now. What do you make of that from Andy Reid? Is this a year-by-year basis? Is this Andy Reid evolving? Is this now going to be something moving forward in your estimation of what had been sort of a mainstay of these rookies getting acclimated and having those few days of camp without the veterans there?
Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily that it's a permanent move, but I think it's probably headed that way, and it could well be a permanent move. One of the things that happens in this camp is that Pat Mahomes is a participant, and he's the guy who has to come to camp another 3 or 4 days early with the rookies and all that. And do you really want to ask that of him? I mean, is that really necessary to do for him for a camp that's got maybe 20, 25 guys? They can't even go 11 on 11. They're going 7 on 7, and there's no pads on. And I think Andy Reid, well, I know he started thinking, you know what, we can get done in OTAs with the rookies and rookie camp, what we needed to get done at this 3-day camp that usually precedes training camp, and we can do it without putting an extra burden on Mahomes. So if you ask me, the number one reason that the Chiefs did this is to ease the burden on Mahomes a little bit. Just give him a little 3-4 day break. Without having to throw to a bunch of rookies, many of whom aren't going to be on the team when the season starts or be anywhere around Kansas City. So that's the number one reason. And so I don't know necessarily that this is permanent, but maybe as long as Mahomes is the quarterback, it is.
That was my first thought. Is I do wonder, we've seen these Super Bowl trips for Patrick Mahomes, and 5 Super Bowls in 6 years, and even the time they did not go to the Super Bowl, it was the AFC Championship game. If this isn't to make an excuse of what happened in the Super Bowl, but I think if we are looking at it realistically, and it would be viewed as wearing Chiefs sunglasses, I think you could look at that and say, there's at least part of the reason of that loss is in that game. Maybe the Chiefs just simply hit a wall, and the years and years. This is why it's tough to go back to the Super Bowl 3 straight years, and even win back-to-back Super Bowls, is because of the toll that it takes. My first thought is how exhausted maybe the team is, and maybe what Andy Reid assessed from looking at the last number of off seasons and then this off season and saying, even those 3 days could go a long way, even maybe for morale. For the team, and whether it be the injured players or even, like you said, Patrick Mahomes, that is just simply, you guys deserve a little bit more time off, man. It's been a crazy run. You're not going for a four-peat. You're trying to go to 4 straight Super Bowls, but, regrouping and everything. But it's been a long run in these regular seasons and playoffs and short off seasons, so no reason to do these extra 3 days.
Yeah, and keep in mind, though, that just about everybody there hasn't, at this rookie camp when they have it, whoever would be participating except one guy.
That's true.
Hasn't been around for much, if any of this stuff.
So it would be for one guy.
Guys, or a couple guys coming off injuries, and they might be a part of it as well. Maybe a guy like Rashee Rice could be participating if the Chiefs wanted him to, but. Really, we're talking about one guy, and it's the most important guy. And I think the Chiefs just decided to be a little more what's the word I'm looking for? Not respectful, but just sort of, hey, let's ease his burden a little bit. We ask so much of this guy. Let's not ask him to go out there for 3 days in the broiling heat of St. Joe and throw the ball around to a bunch of guys who probably won't make the team. Other than Jalen Royals, maybe there's no one who's going to make the team. So maybe Brenning Stool would make it too. So there's a couple guys. But so I think that's where the Chiefs are with all this.
Yeah, I was wondering too. One of the other questions I was going to have, and then we'll move on to some other things which you wrote about at ESPN with the rookies and the what we've seen from minicamp and everything that you wrote about Josh Simmons. Is part of it too, in your mind, a lesser need maybe for rookies this year to make an impact and to produce because of the returning players that they have? Whereas 2022 training camp was a little bit different because they had that entire rookie class, and it felt like it was the second phase of the Patrick Mahomes era of pre and post Tyreek Hill, a new defense in there as well. That was sort of a turnover from all of that. Is there an element that, from what you talked about and what you can install in the mini camps and everything, but also it may not be as vital for some of these rookies to have to play a major role on this team?
Well, yeah, and when you're talking about receivers now, I mean, this is really a veteran group of receivers the Chiefs have. I mean, their top 4, at least as of now, is Rice, Brown, Worthy, and Smith-Schuster. Those guys have all been around. And at tight end, your 2 main guys are Kelsey and Noah Gray. So you're talking about a bunch of guys who have been around. So, I think that maybe that's a small part of it. But, the Chiefs felt like they could make up during the off season a little bit of what they would miss by doing this as well, and just saving the wear and tear on everybody, but most importantly on the quarterback.
Visiting with Adam Teicher from ESPN, Chiefs insider, talking with him from the third fairway at TPC there in Colorado. You wrote about at ESPN the assessment of the first-round rookies at camp. And, started off talking about the fact that Josh Simmons is working there with as a starting left tackle. And unless there's a setback, we hear Andy Reid say that, he's going to be ready for training camp. And that he said it on draft night too, Adam, that no, we expect him to be ready for it. And then Brett Veach dialed it back a little bit, tempered that. It was like, well, we'll see. Okay. Let's see what happens over the off season. But even with Andy Reid saying it that night, it's still, to me, quite the development this offseason that Josh Simmons, he expects to be a full participant come practice number 1 there in St. Joe.
Yeah, usually maybe it's the other way around where Veach is promising things and Andy Reid is going, oh, wait a minute here. So, was a little bit different there. But, yeah, that maybe was the biggest development from the off-season work that came out of this. That Josh Simmons looks like he's going to be ready to go when camp starts and when the season starts. And, when the Chiefs had their rookie camp a weekend or two, I think it was the next weekend after the draft, looking at Josh Simmons, you thought maybe he was going to be a guy who was racing the clock in terms of getting ready to go. He would stand around out there. He'd be standing there flexing one knee, flexing that injured knee, and you're thinking, okay, this is going to be a little while till he's ready to play some real football. But he came a long way since he was drafted, it appears. And so the fact that he's able to do everything, and Andy Reid, who's normally cautious about things, declared him ready to go when camp starts is a huge development for the Chiefs because, no matter what you hear out of them publicly, they would love for Josh Simmons to win that job. I mean, that's their perfect world right there is that Josh Simmons lines up. A healthy Josh Simmons lines up at left tackle on opening day against the Chargers. So, we'll see where it goes and whether that happens, but certainly that's the plan.
Do you think that it's something maybe something we won't be able to know, but in your estimation, if Jalen Moore were healthy, would we see Simmons playing as much as the starting left tackle as we have? Would it be more 50-50? What do you think we would have seen in the camp with Josh Simmons if Jalen Moore hadn't been on the sideline?
Yeah, no, I think they would have split it up a little bit more. I mean, a lot of times they do defer to the veteran. They may indeed have had Moore being the first one to get the first team snaps, but again, don't confuse the issue there. I mean, this is what the Chiefs want in terms of their left tackles. They want Josh Simmons to be that guy, and be that guy in opening day. And they're maybe won't be desperate about it if they feel like Simmons just isn't ready physically or just is too young and can't handle the spot. Maybe similar to what turned out with Kingsley Suamataia last year. I don't think they'd have any hesitation to go with Jalen Moore, but that's not the plan. That's not what they would like. I mean, I feel like Josh Simmons can be their long-term left tackle that they've lacked since Eric Fisher left, and in fact, a better player than Eric Fisher throughout the course of his career.
Well, if he's healthy, to a degree, it would make sense for him to start the season because, again, like you mentioned, they started Kingsley Suamataia, and maybe that was more wishful thinking than what should have been reality for where he was in his development as a left tackle in his career, in his age, and at the NFL level. But when they went from Kingsley to whoever was next up, it was Wanya Morris. So it wasn't exactly like you were choosing between two great options. If you go Josh Simmons as starting at left tackle and he doesn't live up to what you were hoping he would be early on, you're going to Jalen Moore, which is different than Josh Simmons, somebody that did play that role for the 49ers and played it really well. And that floor certainly feels like it's so much higher than what the floor last year was at left tackle. So I almost feel like you've given yourself a greater opportunity here to go with Josh Simmons, because if he lives up to what you think he can be, well, fantastic. You got yourself one hell of a left tackle. And if he struggles early on and Mahomes gets sacked and throws the ball into the ground again, as in, like, Kingsley doesn't need to be out here anymore. Or no, that was Wanya. Was that Wanya that Mahomes got sacked and threw the ball? And then it was Tooney from then on out. Maybe that was the case. If that happens, then maybe you go to Jalen Moore. But Jalen Moore does feel like it's given them not a get out of jail free card, but a level of trust in that we can go with Josh Simmons, and if it doesn't work out, we'll go to Jalen Moore. Not, please, Kingsley, work out, because if not, it's Wanya.
Yeah, we'll see how patient Coach Mahomes is with his left tackle, whoever it is, when the season starts. But
100%.
Yeah, no, you and I talked last week or the week before about what was the bigger development from so far in the off season. Is that Rashee Rice looks like he's ready to go, or Josh Simmons looks like he's ready to go? And I was kind of 1A and 1B, but when you pushed me for just to make a choice there, I went with Rashee Rice, just because I think the backup plan is better for Josh Simmons, not just from last year. The backup plan for him is better than it is for Rashee Rice too. So I think that the Chiefs can be more flexible. They don't have to maybe force it quite like they had to last year with Suamataia. Although I got to say, I thought he looked pretty good in camp. He looked like a guy who maybe could handle it when he was in camp, but we learned quickly that he wasn't quite ready.
Yeah, visiting with Adam Teicher from ESPN, our guest here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Besides the left side of the offensive line, which we have talked a lot about, and I bet you're really going to miss talking about who the left tackle for the Chiefs is going to be after 3 years running doing that. What is, besides left tackle, left guard? What do you see as sort of the intriguing camp battles when we get there? Less than a month from today that we're talking about heading to St. Joe. But what are the intriguing camp battles you think we'll see besides left tackle, left guard, which I think are the obvious ones?
Well, I think there'll be some for roster spots, but I don't know that there are a whole lot. I did a camp preview that's going to run in a couple weeks at ESPN, and they asked me that question. And one of the questions was, what are the position battles? And I gave the two on the left side of the offensive line, and really that's it. I mean, this is a veteran team with Super Bowl aspirations. You can't go to camp and realistically have a lot of those things. I mean, I feel like this thing is pretty much set, other than some special team spots and some things like that, some bottom of the roster type things. And as funny as this sounds, I think what the Chiefs do at punter is going to be interesting. Yeah. I mean, would they give up on Matt Ariza this quickly? For a guy who had that kind of potential coming in, and that would kind of surprise me a little bit. But he's going to have to show some things that he didn't show last year. His touch around the 20 or inside the 20 last year just wasn't very good, and they forfeited a lot of field position because he just couldn't down the ball inside the 20 or had very difficult time doing that. So he's got to be better in that area. And so that's one of the spots. There's certainly some guys you're going to look at, like Jaden Hicks, and how he's going to do and how is he handling that situation. But I don't really see a backup plan for Jaden Hicks. That's his job, and I think they're going to have to sink or swim with him to an extent at that spot. So, but really, other than those two spots, left tackle and left guard, I think this thing, in terms of regulars, offense and defense, is largely been settled.
Is there Adam Teicher is our guest, and this is, looking at it from the glass half empty side, is there a position group? Because right now I think they're pretty solid across the board in their positional groups. But is there one, Adam, you look at and go, man, if there's a couple of injuries here, they might be in some dire straits at this spot right now? Because we know that people get banged up and things like that. Is there a spot that would concern you that, man, if there's an injury, you just don't be to this spot?
Yeah. Maybe anywhere. How about quarterback?
Well, not quite, besides the obvious 1-5.
Yeah. Okay.
Head
Well, how
coach.
about defensive line?
Okay.
They drafted a couple guys,
Yeah.
but they lost a couple guys, and they weren't particularly deep to begin with last year. So I don't know that they're any deeper than they were last year. Chris Jones is a year older. So what happens if a guy like George Karlaftis gets hurt? I think they're going to be in a little bit of trouble there. The fact that Felix hasn't become the player that they thought he would when they drafted him in the first round a couple of years ago is a little bit of a setback. And how advanced are those rookies? Certainly there's some high hopes for Norman Lott and Gelati, but how are they going to come in? Are they ready to go? Can they help? So I think if those two guys, they have to be a big part of what's going on in that defensive line. If neither of those guys are up to speed and they struggle a little bit, I think that area is the one position group where I'm thinking, okay. They need a lot of things to go right in that area.
Yeah, that's it's interesting because that's the positional group I was thinking of as well. I was thinking specifically, you bring up Karlaftis, that's a good one. I was thinking specifically the interior. Obviously, Chris Jones, we can set that aside because that's massive. But oddly enough, Mike Pennell seems like a kind of important piece on this team to not have go down, because when you're going to be facing off against a team that's going to be heavy run, Pennell's going to be playing an important role on this team.
Mm-hmm.
And without Pennell, it's Fabian Levitt or Marlon Tuipulotu. Marlon Tuipulotu. Nailed it. I almost went tilapia there, but I decided to go with the cod. I'm not sure. Marlon Tuipulotu. No. I have an idea of what Mike Pennell's going to give you. There are people that like Levitt and Tuipulotu, but I just don't know what they would be when you are going up against a run-heavy scheme and you need somebody to anchor on the interior.
Yeah, the Chiefs had some depth there with Derek Nottie, who of course is not around anymore. So, that might be a spot where the Chiefs look for a veteran during training camp. Let's see what happens here.
True.
But I just feel like they need not only to stay healthy, but they need those rookies to come through for them, and maybe not just one of them, but I think they need both of those guys to contribute. And if this is that group is going to achieve what the Chiefs wanted to achieve, last year they really dropped off in the sacks. In 22 and 23, they're among the league leaders in sacks, and then last year dropped off. I think they were 17th, 18th, something like that. So. That is a big group. It's a key bunch of guys, and I don't know. I think if you're looking at their depth chart, maybe the best they did this year was tread water, given what they added, but also what they lost.
Adam Teicher from ESPN, our guest. Adam, appreciate the time as always, brother. Hit him straight. There on the third fairway, and looking forward
Jackass.
to yeah, jackass. Do you blow the air horn when they're honk your horn when somebody's or would you be evicted? Would they just come and just confiscate the house from you if you do that?
I'm the guy who yells, "Get in the hole!" after a good tee shot. So
Yes.
that's me.
There's not enough of those out there. Thank you, Adam.
Do you have a fenced-in backyard of when it's facing the third fairway?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what you have to do, I don't know if you've probably seen these videos before, but if you happen to be out there and somebody hits a shot that lands in your backyard, you do then have to walk over next to the ball and then lay down next to it while your wife videos and act like you have just been hit in the head and knocked out when they come and find it. You've got to do that at least once.
Look for me on YouTube the first time that happens. Absolutely.
We'll do that. Adam, appreciate it. I'm looking forward to and also dreading the conversation we have next week. Thank you, brother.
All right, good stuff, Jason. Talk to you next week.
Absolutely. There's Adam Teicher joining us, Chiefs insider for, I believe, 45 years running is Adam Teicher's run with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it started roughly 1980 or so. Yeah, 1980. Making it up, obviously. But Adam Teicher been with the Chiefs a very long time, and one more conversation with Teicher next week as he's no longer going to cover any practices or anything. Yeah, I know. Well, we got something in store. We got something in store for Adam next week. We'll find out. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. Collusion going on in the NFL. We'll talk about what the findings were that Pablo Torre eventually finally got the 61-page decision from the arbitrator on the NFL versus or NFLPA versus the NFL in allegations of collusion on guaranteed dollars. We'll talk about that, what it means, what the fallout could be. Les Norman coming up at noon. More Zone right after this. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. Thank you to Adam Teicher from ESPN, Chiefs Insider for another week. And then we'll see who's going to take over. Sterling has thrown his ring into the hat to take over for Adam Teicher at ESPN.
I have thrown my ring into the hat.
He's thrown his hat into the ring.
No, I've thrown it like a ring into
Just
the
took
hat.
your wedding ring off, put it in a hat.
Threw it in a hat.
Threw it in a hat. And
Yeah.
that means that and ESPN is now notified. That means that you want to take the job.
Yes. That feels like something Mick would do.
Can you throw
that
a
seems
ring
like
in a hat?
That seems like a Mick neighborhood thing where you throw your ring in a hat.
Yeah, I guess it's throwing your name in a hat, right? Because then do you draw names from a hat?
You draw names from a hat.
So
yeah.
if you don't have your name in the hat, then,
No, I'm
you
all
can't
in on
be
this ring in the
drawn.
hat
That's a
thing.
Mick neighborhood thing. I was confused by that.
No, that's the keys.
Oh, okay.
Did you get- that was
Oh,
the-
yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
That's throwing the keys in the
I
hat
see, yeah.
and randomly drawing
Yeah.
and then seeing where you end up.
I was being a smartass. Yeah.
I was leading the witness there.
Leading the witness. Objection. Why? Because it's detrimental to my argument. All right, let's get into a little collusion in the NFL and what was discovered with Pablo Torre fighting since January. Pablo Torre and Mike Florio fighting since January to get the release of the 61-page report in the case of the NFLPA versus the NFL on behalf of past players in guaranteed dollars, that the settlement would have been worth over $1 billion, that the NFL would have to pay over $1 billion to previous players in what would be collusion against guaranteed dollars in contracts. And it was alleged in 2022 that the no guaranteed contracts were a product of collusion by the NFL, the owners, the NFL Management Council. And throughout this process, and the arbitrator, witness testimony was Roger Goodell, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, J.C. Treader, DeMaurice Smith, and the owners of the Giants, the Ravens, the Browns, the Pats, the Broncos, the Cardinals, and the Chargers. All had to testify in expedited discovery. So that meant you had text messages, you had, whether it was email conversations, you had the presentation at this March 2022 meeting, this closed-door meeting in March of 2022. You had the slideshow, the presentation that was presented to every owner and general manager of these teams by the Management Council about guaranteed contracts. So the NFLPA was able to, through discovery, find out what actually went on in that 2022 meeting. Now, that closed-door meeting took place 5 days after the Cleveland Browns traded for Deshaun Watson and gave him a fully guaranteed $230 million contract, the first ever fully guaranteed deal. The least likely person to get a fully guaranteed deal. Out of all quarterbacks to get one, it was Deshaun Watson. A long time ago, back in the mid-2000s or whenever, or 2000 teens, whenever Andrew Luck was on the scene, my prediction was Andrew Luck would be the first quarterback that could fight for a fully guaranteed deal. It didn't happen.
Good thing it didn't if you're the Colts.
Right. Well, he retired, so it wouldn't have mattered. They wouldn't have to pay that out.
True.
Patrick Mahomes did not get a fully guaranteed deal, although it was pretty damn close because of the, quote, guaranteed mechanisms that went along with that. But it still is not a fully guaranteed deal. The only person still with the fully guaranteed deal, Deshaun Watson. So this arbitration hearing looked at specifically 3 cases in the summer of 2022, after the March of 2022 meeting. Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, and Russell Wilson. Those things that took place. Russ got traded to the Broncos, Kyler Murray signing his extension, Lamar Jackson holding out, demanding a trade, waiving his no-trade clause, wanting a contract, all of them wanted a fully guaranteed contract. Why? Because Deshaun Watson got one. So if Deshaun Watson got a fully guaranteed contract, well then Lamar Jackson is saying, I should get one. And Kyler Murray and his agent are saying, Kyler Murray's better than Deshaun Watson. He deserves one. And Russell Wilson is saying, look what I've done in my career compared to what Deshaun Watson has done in his career. I will waive my no-trade clause, and I will then search and seek out a fully guaranteed deal in my next contract. What essentially was found out in discovery, and what the arbitrator ruled, and let me go and find some of these exact quotes that came from this. So what the arbitrator found was there is little question that the NFL Management Council, with the blessing of the commissioner, encouraged the 32 NFL clubs to reduce guarantees in veterans' contracts at the March 2022 annual owners meeting. But there is no evidence that the presenters explicitly asked the clubs to join together in an agreement to restrict the growth of guaranteed salaries and bonuses. But the NFL teams did not essentially collude together to limit fully guaranteed deals because the owners essentially acted in their own accord. What the NFL Management Council said was, if guarantees continue, this was part of the slideshow that they gave the owners. If guarantees continue to grow in both amount and number of players, then there's a risk that they become the norm in contracts regardless of player quality. That not only has the potential to hinder roster management, but set a market standard that will be difficult to walk back. Of course, all clubs must make their own decision, but continuing these trends can handcuff a club in the future. So clearly an attempt to, hey, everybody, don't be the Cleveland Browns. This is not going to be the precedent. We do not need guaranteed contracts for quarterbacks. You cannot set that as the precedent. We have to join together to make sure that it is easier on all of us in the future to not do what the damn Browns just did.
What I do find interesting is I don't even know if they needed any of this because the Browns are the Browns. They're just dumb. They're a poorly run organization. I don't think they needed this. I think 31 of their teams said, no, that's dumb. We're not going to do that. And then they came out and did this. And again, it's not necessarily collusion, but every single owner, if you're a smart owner, you had the same thought process already. You didn't need to be told this. Mm-hmm. I think that they just incriminated themselves to an extent when they didn't need to. Because no bleep, every single owner has the same thought of, the Browns are dumb.
Yep.
We're not going to do this. You don't need to text. The Cardinals and the Chargers owners, whatever it is, they don't need
we'll get into that in a second.
They don't need to text each other with this because you're on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to convince them. They're going to agree with you. And by the way, I will also
I was going to say, I'm shocked that these are the franchises making these missteps. Like, these are the ones, I'm
the Chargers
shocked.
and the Cardinals and
right.
Discovery
and the
finding
Browns.
out text messages. And the Browns being the dumb ones that made the decision.
Right.
But the
Yes.
Cardinals and the Chargers texting each
Oh,
other.
you mean the same
owners.
team that drafted 2 quarterbacks in the later rounds this year? Oh, that one.
Yep.
And 2 running backs.
Right.
It's
Yes,
just like
that's right.
you understand this. You don't need to put it out there because I think every owner understood it's not collusion. It's just smart business. And not only
But the Management Council is essentially attempting or wanting the NFL owners to collude.
which is dumb. Like Goodell, you don't need. I assume it'd be Goodell because
It said with the blessing of the commissioner.
which would be Goodell. You don't need this. I don't think the owners were going to do this. It's like they try to get so far out in front that it makes them look bad when they didn't need to put any of this out there to begin with because, I don't think
Could have just been a word of mouth.
It
Like,
could have been
hey,
word of mouth.
Don't be stupid.
Just don't be dumb.
There's no way that this guy should be the precedent of guaranteed contracts. Players are going to ask for it, but we need you to hold firm and not acquiesce to guaranteed demands.
And I also think if you are not a superstar, if you are the middle ground, I don't know if you want necessarily fully guaranteed contracts because it's great for you to an extent, but it's really the big ones because how much of an albatross has the Watson contract been on the Browns?
Oh, it's been the worst acquisition in sports history.
Do you think they would have been able to pay some guys more? Do you think some guys could have kept
for sure?
And that's my
the
point.
draft picks they gave up and then the money they've spent. Again, it's the worst acquisition in sports.
So if you are
history.
a lower level veteran, if you are a mid-range veteran, if you're a special teamer, they're not going to be able to afford the Jack Conklins. the Nazi Johnsons who are getting nice special team money here in Kansas
Some
City.
of those are guaranteed because if it's a one-year
Well,
salary of $2 million,
that's my point,
you're on
though.
the team for the full
But
year.
They
you got $2
couldn't
million.
do that because they're having to put
Yeah.
up with the albatross that is the Deshaun Watson contract. So when you are forced to
what you're
pay, a one guy that amount of money and he's doing nothing for your organization in a franchise, but you're forced to pay him, all of a sudden you can't pay these mid-level and lower-level veterans. Now, those guys are actually looking for jobs. Now, that market's flooded, and what happens to supply and demand? There's more of them, right? Greater supply, so the demand's all of a sudden different. So, again, I don't think that they should want fully guaranteed contracts because the only guys that are going to get them like this are the quarterbacks, and what happens when they get injured?
So they list here, the arbitrator rules here, the sides, and there is no evidence that the presenters explicitly asked the clubs to join together in agreement to restrict the growth of guaranteed salaries and bonuses. However, the NFL's Management Council's message was not purely educational and informational, as the NFL contends. It unmistakably encouraged the owners to reduce the trend of increasing player guarantees. Now, John Mara came out and said, in part of this, in his testimony, was, you really think that other owners are just going to listen to what other owners say that we should, band together and do this? They're going to make their own decision. What I would argue if I'm the NFLPA is, well, then why do you have a management council at all? Because your management council is coming together to have a strategy for the owners overall in many different topics.
Yes.
And pieces of a CBA. Well, if you're just saying these owners are going to act in their own self-interest each and every time, then you don't need a management council. Then your management council's message is moot every single time, if that's the case. So I would push back from that standpoint and go, just because we said this, you think we would say we're trying to get him to collude? And you know how Jerry Jones would laugh us out of the room. I think the example he used was, you think I'm going to tell Jerry Jones not to give Dak Prescott a fully guaranteed what would his reaction be to say that? Well, maybe you're not specifically and implicitly saying you must not give him a fully guaranteed deal. But it is Jerry, you understand how the league works and the growth of the league and the health of the league and the overall owners of what the future can be. It's smart not to make Deshaun Watson the standard precedent setter of a fully guaranteed deal.
And maybe I'm giving these owners too much credit, but that was my whole reason of why I think it was dumb that they had this management council to begin with, because they didn't need this. I think that 31 other owners were smart enough to say, yeah, that's dumb. We're not them. We're not the Browns. And maybe I'm giving them too much credit because it looks like, again, as we'll get to the Chargers and Cardinals couldn't think that far ahead, but I would assume that if you're a businessman and own a team, you're not a dumbass.
So sometimes it's. I mean,
look at this. Look at all these teams right here.
Right. I mean, you've just acquired Deshaun Watson.
Have you seen Woody Johnson, sir?
You know what? Okay, 30 other owners, 30 teams.
So remember, March of 2022 is when the meeting happened. This is a text exchange on July 22nd, 2022, when Kyler Murray signed his contract. And Kyler Murray wanted a fully guaranteed deal. He did not get it. But part of the strategy was to include massive incentives that are easily attainable, but it does not set the precedent of guaranteed dollars. So we're going to give you all these incentives, which essentially makes it fully guaranteed, but it is not in the language that this is fully guaranteed. We're not going to do this. So Dean Spanos, owner of the Chargers, reaches out to Mike Bidwell after the contract is signed and agreed to. Dean Spanos, congratulations on signing Murray. Mike Bidwell, thanks, Dino. These QB deals are expensive, but we limited the fully guaranteed money and have some pretty good language. Thankfully, we have a QB that's worth paying. Dean Spanos, your deal helps us for our quarterback next year. Bidwell, I think many teams will be happy with it once they have a chance to review. Cleveland really screwed things up, but I was resolved to keep the guaranteed relatively low. And then they put quotes. He put air quotes around low. Again, this was evidence from NFLPA because this conversation is essentially echoing what the PowerPoint and Management Council's edict was: incentivize, do not guarantee. And how it's amazing to me that Mike Bidwell is saying, we did this with Kyler Murray. It's going to help you out with Justin Herbert. It's going to help this team out over there. Screw them. What? Like, you're helping your competitors. I want Justin Herbert to have the worst contract ever. I'm going to do what I want to do, which flies in the face of what John Mara said of, you think our management council is going to tell this owner what to do and that owner what to do? Well, these owners are getting together and saying, we helped you out. The rest of the league is going to love this contract, okay? Because then Herbert signed incentives. And Russell Wilson was told by the Broncos he would get a fully guaranteed deal when they traded for him before the March of 2022 meeting.
Yeah.
After the March of 2022 meeting, he was not going to get a fully guaranteed deal. And that contract with the owner of the Denver Broncos saying, if we can get this done, George Payton, the GM, feels very good about it for us as a franchise and the benchmark it sets for the rest of the league. That was in a text message from the new Broncos owner.
Why the bleep are they putting this in texts? Like, how?
Because they didn't think this would ever go to Discovery.
Well, I get
They're
that.
not going to find out that we're colluding against guaranteed deals.
Like, how?
That's
how
not going
can
to
you
happen.
be-
And even if they found out, they're not going to come up with some massive lawsuit.
Have they ever
the
read a
NFLPA is
book?
too dumb to do these things.
Have they read a book? Have they ever seen like 90210 or like
Beverly
NCIS?
Hills?
I don't know.
Beverly Hills 90210?
I don't know. Have they ever
Okay.
watched a TV show that with this stuff comes to light
I
because
think
of their
Sterling's,
texts?
Sterling's spot on here, and it's funny that it is these owners that are the ones that are stupid enough to
You
put
got a
all that
new
in
owner with the
text.
Broncos.
Yep,
Doesn't know any better, probably.
and he owns a Walmart.
Yeah, right.
He's not-
They've
he's
never
not an
colluded.
idiot.
Let's collude with Target over here to get
Yeah.
out to get
Price
Kmart
gouge.
out of here.
Price gouge. We're going to collude together to price gouge based on inflation. Let's come together. If we all do it, then they can blame inflation and not price gouging. If we all do it together, I don't know if that's part, something that actually happened. Who knows? But Lamar Jackson had contended that they were colluding against him
Sure.
because there were only a couple of teams that were interested in trading for Lamar Jackson, and then when they placed the franchise tag on him, no chance. But Lamar Jackson wanted a fully guaranteed deal. And what the arbitrator ruled in ruling with the NFL is the arbitrator ruled that the preponderance of evidence matched closer with the NFL's argument that there are very specific reasons with Lamar Jackson why teams weren't interested. He's a unique quarterback that would only fit a certain style. Teams already had quarterbacks, so there were only a couple of teams that would actually be in need of a quarterback. The cost acquisition was too great for a player that was often injured. This was before he won the MVP.
Yeah.
Had he won the MVP and the things that he was doing, it might have been a better case at that point. But the arbitrator ruled these are legitimate concerns as to why Lamar Jackson's specific case may not have been collusion. But that's just more likely than not with preponderance of evidence. The arbitrator can still say, I mean, in my estimation, yeah, do I believe that they were probably colluding? Sure. But the evidence shows that there are legitimate reasons as to why Lamar Jackson's specific case may not have been collusion.
Because it wasn't in texts like the Chargers and Cardinals.
Right, the dumbasses.
And by the way, the one thing I will also point out is how those fully guaranteed contracts worked out, or at least those the massive ones to Deshaun, horrible. Kyler Murray, brutal. Lamar Jackson's been the only one that's been okay.
Good.
Russell Wilson got
Terrible.
cut. I mean, the players aren't helping themselves in that regard when none of them have really worked out. Lamar's the one that he hasn't won a Super
Herbert's
Bowl.
been good.
But it really has been Lamar. He's won an MVP at least.
Mm-hmm.
2?
Yeah, he's two-time MVP. Could have been three-time MVP,
So-
but Josh Allen got it.
So, I mean, I know he hasn't won a Super Bowl, and that's going to be the pushback, but he's won 2 MVPs. That contract has been worth it, but that's maybe the only one of the post-Patrick of the 2022, this conversation
Yeah,
and
that was in
on,
2022.
that's really been worth it. Josh Allen, eventually, when he gets...
He got his deal.
He got his deal.
Burrow.
I'm trying to think of that
Burrow
year.
got his deal.
Not worth it. He's been injured.
Yeah. Last year, I think it was worth it. The injuries to Burrow aside, last year was worth it with,
Sure.
with the numbers he put up.
It's a great playoff run they had, too.
Yeah, for the contract. Yes, I agree. I'm with you on that. But if you're talking about the price of doing business for some quarterbacks and what Burrow at least gives you, I would say is worth the price of doing business as opposed to Daniel Jones
Oh, my gosh.
or some of these other quarterbacks.
Trevor
that we're
Lawrence
watching.
right now.
Yeah, right. The simply, this is what we're paying. Brock Purdy, this is what we're paying for these quarterbacks because the devil we know, as opposed to anything else. There's a whole other element to this, which is the NFLPA side that was also working to suppress this information because J.C. Tretter may be out of a job soon because it sounds like he was playing a lot of CYA in this to make sure this didn't get out because of what ended up looking like sort of a quid pro quo to name Lloyd Howell the executive director of the NFLPA so that Lloyd Howell will then create a new position for J.C. Tretter, who was no longer allowed to be a part of the NFLPA's, couldn't be president anymore because you had to be an active player. And so Lloyd Howell is who J.C. Tretter essentially names executive director, going outside what the Constitution of the NFLPA says how you should name a director, and then Lloyd Howell immediately turns around and creates a chief strategy officer, a job that wasn't around before, created it for J.C. Tretter to get that job. Plenty of reasons why the NFLPA was saying, no, we don't want this out there either. Because J.C. Tretter also had some very unkind words for Russell Wilson, about how much he's an expletive, he's this, he's that, because he didn't fight for a guaranteed deal. And by the way, the NFL used that against the NFLPA and said their own NFLPA president didn't think they were colluding. He just thought Russell Wilson was weak to not fight for it. So how can there be collusion when their own NFLPA is blaming this player specifically for not getting a fully guaranteed deal? And the arbitrator agreed.
Former Brown, too, by the way.
Shocker. More Zone coming up next. Les Norman into hanging out with us for the noon hour?
I think I can do it.
I don't know.
For like 2 hours before we actually have him on. So.
Maybe. But don't tell him, though.
Right.
Yeah, we want him to think that it's a legitimate reasons, that we aren't just colluding to have him come in here. So.
Les Norm. In.
I see. Les Norm is in. Norm.
These interns probably don't know what Cheers is either. I mean, these interns don't know anything.
Yeah, Cheers is when you know.
They don't know Cheers. They shake their head no.
When you,
Come on.
When you, take your
Why
drink.
would they
and,
know Cheers?
Everyone knows Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. Yeah, right, that's Cheers. All right, it's the noon hour on a Tuesday. That means we get to hang out with Les Norman, Breaking the Norm, presented by TruckMovers.com and First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Joining us here in the zone. Les, what's up, brother?
I am very happy. Your son's right shoulder sore today from wearing that
Oh, my goodness.
big ring on his finger.
Yes, it's
Come on.
the whole arm's getting sore because he's got 4 of them now. He won the tournament last weekend, the Father's Day weekend, and we win the state championship this weekend. So it was it's
Wipe
been
the
a
smile
fun
off your
couple.
face
Oh my
right
goodness, man!
now.
Just because these
Yeah.
kids work for so long. Every team that was there, their teams are working hard. So it's
And
not
it's
just.
so hot.
Yes, it was 95 degrees. We played 2 games in the middle of the day Friday, 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday. So everybody's got the cold rags and the coolers with all the ice and everything, and the kids are coming in from the field getting ready to hit, and we're pouring the wringing out the cold rags on their head and their neck, and the catcher we're calling timeout to go and cool him off a little bit. The umpires, Blue, you good coming in? And,
Forget them.
no, it was fine, but it was pretty awesome because like every team works right. Every team works hard, and just obviously when you're connected to it, like the coaches, the parents putting in the time of all of that stuff. So it was a lot of fun that we turned it on at the right time. The 10 seed making the run through the tournament to win
Nice.
was pretty awesome. Terrible pool play. Just awful in pool play.
Yeah,
Just-
you were.
we were not
sneaking-
sandbagging.
You were sneaking up on him. I see what you're doing.
We were not. It would have been
Under
nice.
the radar.
It would have been nice to get a bye, with the pitcher rules and
Are they
in the
not
tournament.
touching the pool, or they're not good swimmers in the deep end, or
No, we just dipped a toe in. Everybody else dove in head first.
Okay.
So we just dipped a toe in.
scared to
pool play.
go off the high dive? That's
We
what
did-
happens.
You know what? We didn't want to alert people to what we were about to do.
They sandbagged because they wanted to play the higher seeds. They wanted
That's
to
right.
challenge themselves.
Yeah, let's get the
Yeah.
higher seeds out of the way quicker.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what I mean?
just smart.
Yeah, that's right. We ended up playing the 7, the 2, and the 1 on our way to the
It's
championship.
amazing you go 4-2 in the 2 games you lose in pool play.
Pool play.
That's
we
crazy.
did the Father's Day weekend. We went 1-1 in pool play, and then 3-0 in bracket. So we've won 7 straight bracket elimination games, which is a lot of fun. But for the kids and obviously my son, they were so excited and over the moon, and just from how we felt Friday going home to then Sunday, it was awesome. It was a very cool couple of weeks, very cool weekend, and those kids have worked hard, for a number of years, the same team together, which makes a difference, because we're not a club team, we're an independent team that started with neighborhood and elementary school, going to that, and then friends of friends in another neighborhood had a few. And so we played together for a number of years. We just happened to have, got lucky with a lot of the
you
kids
said
we
a
have.
number of years and they're 9.
I know.
They started when they were 2.
Yeah, that's right. I know. We started them out when they were 3, and it's like, you know what? We had tryouts as 4-year-olds. We cut. It's like some kids got to go. Sorry, you're
Yeah.
4 years old. I don't think you're going to hack it against 5-year-olds.
Bring that trophy back. You don't get one.
That's right.
You got that nil deal set up yet?
Not yet. Not yet. We are working on keeping our players to not transfer.
Got it.
Because now they're.
No transfer portal.
Oh, everybody's coming calling. Everybody's coming and calling for, our team. Like, oh, you're batting 7th for that team. You can be 3rd for us.
Give you a $20 Chipotle gift card.
We'll pay for your gas for all the travel ball we're doing next year.
Gift card to the Lego store.
That's right. We'll pay for your first travel tournament hotel for your family.
I've had this gift card in my wallet for 3 years. I have no idea how much is on it. You can find out.
Yeah.
Could be yours.
Could be yours for a nominal fee.
$3.12. Well, it's more than you had.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, I'm in this position now, Les. I know that you had a ton of fun, and when your kids were going through that too. So
Yeah, it's
So, yeah.
amazing. Just like you showed me at the front side. Keep taking pictures.
Oh yeah.
And the one thing I will say is, if you haven't already, there's so much time because he's 9.
Mm-hmm.
Write out some details.
Yeah.
Because that's what fades. The visual memory and the big games, the big scores, like the rings, trophies,
Mm-hmm.
those are awesome and all that. But write down some details of the most memorable. That's the one thing I wish I would have done because I'm old and my memory's not great anymore. And they'll tell you, oh, remember the time? Like, yes, I really don't remember that. But write those details. Man.
No, because the best part of it, and you probably know this too, like the best part of it was Saturday we had 2 games, and there was a 2-hour break between.
Yeah.
So the team goes to like a restaurant, and all the kids are hanging out, and the families, the parents are hanging out.
Yeah.
Then on Sunday we had 2 games with a 2-hour break between, so the same thing. So that was probably the best part. Like the journey winning the trophy is awesome, and it's great because that's them something significant and tangible they can hold to show the work that they put in.
Yeah.
But
video those restaurant moments.
I mean,
and
it's
car rides,
right? Because it's craziness and chaotic when you're there because everybody ordering food and the kids are over there and they're playing and they're watching TV, and then some place has video games, so they'll go over there and want money for the arcade. But for them, to me, those are the moments they'll remember more than the individual plays in a game, I think.
Yeah.
Probably more than anything.
Absolutely.
Which travel ball, probably hanging out at hotels with your buddies and everything, and your team probably is what you remember more than individual specific games and what took place in a tournament.
Yeah,
So.
and last thing, congrats obviously to your son, but serious props to your bride. Because while we're at work, we're taking the kids to baseball and all that. They're still, they're getting them to school, they're getting them ready in the summers. Yes, you're home during those weekends as well, but man, the support of them sitting in those hot bleachers or chairs and just riding along with them, and all the days that things don't go well and they're wiping tears or all that. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yep.
So it's definitely a team effort, and the people that are not on the field coaching, playing, those are the ones that are some heroes as well.
Yep,
so.
100%. Yeah, they are there. And I mean, I put in way more work than she does as being the third base coach. So it's, whew. But no, it's she's awesome as well. She's you know what it is, when we're getting ready to leave, the coolers and drinks and everything are packed and ready to go.
Yep.
She is the sunscreen, everything. She's got it. Any snacks or anything, I just worry about bat bag, Everett, jersey, time we're leaving, what time warm-up start, all of that stuff, and then she's got, here are the Gatorades, here's the waters, here's the ice, here's the cooler, here are the snacks, here's this pocket for this thing over there.
Yep.
This is what she's got it all taken care of. So you remember those days too. So it was really cool. It was really awesome. It was an awesome road trip for the Royals. They go 4-2, Les. We talked last week. It was not fun, coming off a winless homestand. So is this just water finding its level, that you play terrible, you play well sometimes? They had an awesome stretch of 17-4. The Blue Jays were terrible, now they're good. The Guardians were good, now they're struggling. The Royals had a great stretch, then they struggled, and maybe now they're playing better baseball. Are these the ebbs and flows of a season of a number of teams that are contenders, but not necessarily World Series favorites like we see with the Dodgers and the Mets and the Tigers and how they're playing?
Yeah. I think there's 3 things that we have to pay attention to, and one, you mentioned it, it's the ebbs and flows of everything. It's definitely you're going to play bad against bad teams, and you're going to play good against good teams, and sometimes there's a mix of all that. Sometimes I do think, though, after a homestand like they had, the 0-6 homestand, and losing 3 to the A's still blows my mind. And they're getting better than they used to be. They've got some studs on that team, some young studs that are up and coming, and so that's the little silver lining. So getting out of town sometimes is just what you need. Get away from all of us media. And, you can't get away from that. But it's not as much, and so just hanging with the guys, getting on the road, getting away, that does tend to relax you a little bit. So there's that part of it. I think the second thing, too, is that when people get hurt, positions change, different things happen like that, it's adapting to change sometimes, because lineups might be a little bit different or pitchers might be a little bit different, and so you just adapt to certain changes. But then the other part is that, and again, that's one of those is positive, one of those is neutral, but I think the negative side is it's still a team that's underperforming offensively. And again, I'm not knocking a 4-2, which could have also been a 5-1 road trip very easily, and against a really, really good San Diego team.
Yeah.
So, Texas is not great this year. They're really struggling.
Kind of like the Royals with the offense has been really bad.
Yeah, it's still a good team. But coming into that series, though, as of last Thursday, the Royals were a -20 differential. Even though Texas was bad, they were a +19. So their offense hasn't been quite as bad. But so our pitching did pretty well, and they didn't play well, and we'll take that. It's nice to take advantage of that instead of being a victim of that.
Yeah.
And so, but I still think that overall they do need to figure out in the long stretch how they can be a little bit more offensively minded. I think situational hitting is still a struggle. We jump at too many first pitches. I mean, I use our little softball stories a lot, but me, when we just slow pitch softball, I throw a knuckleball, and there was a crosswind last night, so I was literally throwing an underhand knuckleball at the hitters, and then they would take it and it would blow right into the strike zone, or I'd throw it behind them and they'd give up, and they would come but they kept swinging at it. So I'm going to keep throwing it. You know what I mean? And so that's what in the big leagues, in all kinds of levels. When there's a runner in scoring position, or if there's a runner on second base and nobody out, they're not going to throw you a fastball away. They're going to throw you off speed away and hard in because they want to break your bat. They want to get you to pull it because they don't want the runner to advance. You're going to have to either bunt it or be a really good hitter, or the pitcher's just going to be dumb. And so those are things that the Royals still need to work on. But ending on a good note, a 4-2 homestand or a 4-2 road trip on that particular road trip was awesome.
So what's really interesting is, and this is what I certainly wanted to talk to you about, because, you know, being a hitter and the adjustments that are made at the plate. I've mentioned a couple times, and we've gone back and drawn reference to the conversations they had after the Yankees series in the divisional round last year about watching the Yankees just be so patient and just spit on balls that are just right outside the strike zone. You're like, how can you possibly take that pitch? And the Royals 2-0 are swinging at a pitch outside the strike zone because they're so. It's like, why wouldn't you take? This should be 3-0. How many times I think I've seen a Royals-Yankees series and I go, they should be sitting 3-0 right now. Instead, it's 2-1. Oh, 2-2. Does he swing at that pitch that's just outside? If he takes the 3-0, is that now a walk, or is that pitch different? Like, all of those things sort of change in an at-bat. So that being said, we heard them say they wanted to be more patient. They wanted to be disciplined at the plate. And this is a team that the Royals still swing at the fourth most pitches in all of baseball. But the first pitch swing rate is the lowest in baseball. So let me ask, is this a product of, it's not even really we're going up there to take an approach or to assess a pitch. It's, no, we've got to be so disciplined, we are not going to swing at the first pitch.
Yeah, to me, that's ridiculous.
But then you're still swinging at the most pitches, the fourth most pitches in all of baseball. So essentially you're saying, I'm taking the first pitch, now I'm going to start swinging.
Which is usually the one that's right down the middle.
Right, I mean, like, because if you're not swinging, why would I throw you a ball? You know, like that seems like it's an approach of across the board, no matter what, as opposed to my approach is going to be disciplined, but I'm not going to take as Rex would say, a cookie, because my first swing, what's the old adage? Your first swings for you, your first strikes for you, your third strikes for the team, you know, something like that. My first swing, if I don't have a strike on me, it should be where I want it to be. And if I got to ambush somebody, I'll ambush somebody. But it doesn't seem like they're ambushing. It seems like what the numbers have shown so far, we're essentially halfway through the season, that they're going up there with the specific mindset, I'm taking the first pitch, and now I'm getting right back to who we were last year, which is swing, swing, swing.
Yep, absolutely. And it's 1-0 is different from 0-1. Yeah. And I think it was my minor league career, but over 10 years, I think 7 of 104 or something home runs were the first pitch of a game. I was leading off. It was right down the middle.
I love that.
But here's the thing, though. Why the first pitch of a game and the last pitch of a game? I'm going to go ahead and you're telling me I'm leading off a game or I'm leading off an inning. And I'm going to go ahead and take the first pitch because I want to tap into a big league pitcher's pitch count. Hey, way to help the team. You gave him a +1 on his pitch count. Because if I take this pitch, boy, he's going to come out in the 6th inning instead of the 7th inning. That's ridiculous. I'm up there to hit, but I'm not up there to swing at a slider in the dirt. I'm not up there to swing at a ball. And even if it's 2-1 and it's a strike, if it's a nasty curveball that I can't drive the runner in or I can't do anything with, you have to be confident enough that you can hit 2-2. You have to be confident enough that you can, 3-1 is not an automatic swing. You know what I'm saying? And so being patient is not always about, okay, well, I've just decided that I'm going to take a bunch of pitches until I hit strike 2. No, look zone. You know if a guy's got, like if I'm facing Michael Wacha, who I believe he's pitching tonight, right? Or is that tomorrow? Bubic. So Wacha's tomorrow. So if I'm facing Wacha, Wacha's got a really good curveball. And so for me, if he hangs it, oh, I'm coming unglued. But if it's a borderline pitch, his curveball's so good, I'm not going to swing at it just because it's a strike. Okay? If I've got a runner on second, runner on third, I'm going to do what I'm able to do with that in certain situations. And I think that the Royals just get in those motions sometimes where swing. Well, it was a strike, so I have to swing at it.
But it's not a real process they have at the plate. Because you're right, they're taking the first one automatically and then being aggressive.
And then they're getting right back into the same mindset they had last year, which is swing, and now you're down 0-1.
So I just don't get the thought process behind taking the first pitch, but then you are going to be uber aggressive every other time.
That doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense. It's
because here's the
mind-blowing. If you're going to be aggressive, I'm totally cool. If you're going to be aggressive, that's fine. But that means then swing first pitch like Escobar did. Swing like Esky. Ambush him then. Because they clearly know you're not swinging.
Well, and that's the thing is they've swung at the fewest percentage-wise in Major League Baseball as a team, swung at the fewest first pitches, but the Royals are number 2 in baseball in first pitch strike.
Mm-hmm.
So how often are they starting 0-1? They're number 2 in baseball in which the first pitch of an at-bat that they're at the plate results in a strike. 64.3% of at-bats are a strike.
Why are pitchers throwing so many first pitch strikes to the Royals?
Because they're not swinging.
They're not swinging at it. The Royals hitters need to be like the three of us on this show. Aggressive in the zone.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow, I wish that was we just threw the break there.
You know what? Can we go back? Do it again, Les?
Yeah.
Do it again.
Okay. The Royals hitters, the Royals offense should be like the three of us on Tuesdays at noon on this show. Be aggressive in the zone.
Breaking the Norm with Les Norman, presented by TruckMovers.com and First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Todd Lebo joins us in the 1 o'clock hour. An hour from now, we'll play some Fact or Fiction. Royals at 6:40 tonight. Chris Bubich, Taj Bradley. Les, there are think pieces being written by many, many baseball writers, and the question is being asked, is Jack Caglione the greatest right fielder in the history of the game? People are wondering, is he the greatest defensive right fielder in the history of the game? People are now, I think legitimately, we have to ask the question.
He might be right now. It's so cool that he goes over the fence, robs the home run on a great play, and there's that split second he forgets there's a runner on, and he just wants to jump around like the exuberant little boy.
Did you guys see what I just did?
I can't believe I just did that. Like I can't. And Jackson Merrill, very cool, tips his cap.
Yeah, that was cool.
You know, and then after the game was like, amazing play, man. I can't believe he
did it with
caught
ease.
that.
It was almost like an easy jump, like I got this.
Well, that's what's so crazy is anybody that's ever tried to track a fly ball in the outfield, to be able to time your jump when it's hard enough to grab a rebound that's coming off 12 feet in the air if it's coming off the rim and bouncing a couple of feet to time your high point, the rebound, right? How high I can jump versus the rebound coming down. This is a ball that's how many feet in the air that's coming down while you're at the fence, having to jump up to time your leap.
Probably 80 to 90 miles an hour.
Right. I mean, the level of difficulty is up there for anybody to rob a home run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's one thing to track a pitch and you get there and it falls into your glove, but to be able to jump and catch it at that time is so difficult. He made it look easy. I don't know what percentage of luck was there or just natural baseball instinct, but you've played in the outfield.
Mm-hmm.
You know that is not an easy play to time that way, to jump, high point it. You've stopped jumping, and the ball is at the exact point
Everything
where
was perfect.
I mean,
Yeah.
I thought saved the game.
Timing, athleticism, calm. You know, I mean, it helps in the
6'5".
sense he's a big guy. Yeah, 6'5", 250. But, you know, oftentimes when you're tired or if you're running on your heels after that or you're kind of nervous a little bit, you tend to heel strike. And when you heel strike, you become a bobblehead. And so you can't really see it as clear. And so he's light on his feet for a big guy. The best part for me on the replay was watching the guy right in front of him that, like, put his hands up and then put his hands on his head like, what just happened?
Yeah, no. The surrender cobra after the arms extended. Yeah, no.
That was outstanding. Yeah, so, I mean, a lot had to happen there, but he made that look easy, which goes to show his athleticism. But obviously in that quick little jubilant jump like, check that out.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, it was just that you could tell he hasn't done it a lot. But that just goes to show you that he's just going to get better and better. If you can do something like that in the early stages of you learning a new position, then it's going to be some more excitement out there from him.
Yeah, 17th game into Major League Baseball, and I think he played 12 games in outfield in the minors, so 29 games as a pro that he's played.
It's not that easy,
in the
folks.
outfield.
Thank you, Rusty.
Yes, Rusty Kuntz.
Yeah.
You know what? Was it you that said, when I joked and said people are asking if he's the greatest right fielder ever? Was it you that said?
I think it was
people are
Dylan,
asking,
actually.
Maybe
Dylan may have said that.
People are asking, is Rusty Kuntz the best outfield coach? You know, out there.
I'm going to go ahead and seriously say yes on that. I mean, what he did for Alex Gordon, and I mean, if you're a minor league or a big league player, and Rusty Kuntz come to you and says, "Hey, we're going to learn the outfield," you should get a financial advisor immediately because you're going to have a really good career.
You got to hit a little bit, but even MJ Melendez went from unplayable to a little bit below league average.
Yeah, absolutely. The problem is that his offense.
It was too bad. But I mean, there is something to that, to where it feels like every single person he works with, they get so much better, or at least they improve over expectations. It's the anti-Andy Heck method that we've been talking about for a while now. But yeah, Jack Caglione has exceeded my expectations as a fielder. I don't know where you guys land so far. We are now 68 plate appearances in. How many games was that? I had it pulled in. 17 games in for Jack. Obviously, still a small sample size overall, but 17 games in. 68 plate appearances. Where you guys land on what Cags has done so far?
I'll let Les go first.
Add 7 hits. Add 7 more hits right now to that. If you can figure that batting average out, just add 7 more hits to how many bats he's had.
I can do that for you because I have the. You have a drink nearby?
Okay.
I can do that because of the underlying metrics.
Here you go. Add 7 hits. What's he hitting with 7 more hits?
313.
Okay. So
Yeah, 306 was expected batting average, by the way.
so if in the first series he played, he hit 4 balls hard that were smoked right at people. So there's people out there that have hitting streaks that just bleed it and they break bats, but they're just getting on the ball, and you'll take every one of them. But let's just remember, and what's his average at right now?
203.
Okay.
His expected batting average is 306.
Okay, so the balls that he's hit hard, and he hasn't really got any cheap hits either. So the balls that he's hit hard, not to mention he's already had a 4-hit game, and the way
And a 2 home run game.
yes, and a 2 home run game, and even in his bat at bats, I mean, yeah, he's struggling. He still has to learn some things, and there are some swings at pitches he shouldn't swing at all. It's a little different, and there's that learning curve. But I still think he's a future 300 hitter in the big leagues.
Well,
absolutely. It's just because I watch his approach, I watch his balance, I watch his hands. He's not beaten by 98-mile-an-hour fastballs. He's just beaten mentally because he swings at pitches that aren't strikes sometimes. But that is going to come with patience and experience.
I think overall, I know that actual numbers aren't great, but I think he's actually opened up the offense for one. I think Bobby Witt Jr. has been better since Cags got called up. I don't know if it was I'm still the guy. Like, everyone's thrilled about Cags. This is great and all. I'm the MVP candidate. That's who I am. Because I do think that there's been something to that where I think Bobby has played better since Cags got called up. I also think Salvador Perez has been a lot better since Cags has gotten called up. I know early on there's a lot of double plays, or a lot of right before Cags got on, all that stuff. There's a little bit of an issue there with the lineup turning over. But I think recently especially, he's seen better pitches. I think teams are like, yeah, I don't know, though. I don't want to pitch around Salvi and then all of a sudden have to face Cags. Maybe we try and go after Perez, and because Cags can deposit one. It's not Mark Canna behind him anymore.
Right.
So I don't know. I've actually been fairly impressed overall with Cags, his approach. I know the walk numbers and the percentage isn't great. It's never going to be great. That was never part of his game. So expecting that to all of a sudden be a 10% walk rate, you're out of your mind. That's not who he is. But he's hitting the ball hard. His plate approach, I have no issue with. You're right. He doesn't get beat by the high fastball, which in today's baseball is huge.
First home run was at his eyes.
So overall, the numbers aren't there, but I do think I've seen enough to believe that he's going to figure it out, and I'm not worried about Cags, if that makes sense.
So I'm not. You say these two names, and people are going to immediately say that you're comparing the two. I'm using it as a reference point. So you talk about you see a guy that can be a 300 hitter, and I think
Ted Williams.
I think the pushback may be like, well, does he strike out too much to be a 300 hitter? Well, he's striking out right now at 19%. But as an example, there is a player in Major League Baseball right now that is batting 367 and is striking out at 25% of the time.
That'd be a really large pinstriped guy.
Yeah, he wears pinstripes even when he's not wearing pants. He's wearing pinstripes.
The second best
6'7", second best right fielder.
second best large right fielder in baseball,
Yes,
right?
the second best defensive end that's playing right field in baseball. He's batting 370, and he's striking out a quarter of the time. A quarter of his plate appearances, he's going up there and striking out. So to your point, you hit the ball hard enough. He also walks a lot. Last year, he led the league in walks with 133.
But he's not going to strike out at that percentage once he stops as the nerves fade, and he starts being more selective because he knows what they're trying to do. They're just trying to get him to chase because he will. Once he stops doing that, he's not going to strike out at that clip.
Yeah.
He's just not.
I've been fine with what we've seen from him.
Yeah.
I'm glad the 2 home run game happened because I do think we were at least starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel of do the Royals have him go back to Omaha for a little bit because he had been struggling. Then he has the 2 home run game, and you're like, all right, he's hitting the ball hard. It'll start to find some grass. He's got another single. He hits another double in a different game. It's like, okay, he's doing enough right now to warrant staying up here because you know what the ceiling is when he turns it on.
And the 2 home runs. Thank you, Ad. Appreciate this, ESPN. Thanks for just ruining the stats.
Oh, that's fine.
Love that. It a black screen. That's what you want.
Oh, that's cool.
So while you're looking for that, I'll just say the only way I'm sending him back to Omaha is if he lives there in the offseason.
What the?
I love that.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're
You know,
good.
And
Got it.
he's not. I mean, he was only there a couple of weeks anyway, so he didn't even know where he was going to go get dinner. When he
Dude.
lived there.
Dude, anytime I go down, lovely. I got it now.
Okay.
Nope, I don't got it now. Give me your laptop. Thank
Lovely
you.
or love lady?
Jimmy. No, love ads on ESPN. It's just great.
Okay.
He has. And that's the last 7 days. Let me go to all. Here. I had it pulled up, and he's
Like how
killing
you're
me.
using Emmy's laptop
yeah,
here.
He's that 2 home run game now gives him as many home runs as Freddie Fermin, Michael Massey, more than Nick Lofton, MJ
see.
Melendez, Drew Waters.
That's what you were looking for.
And so Hunter Renfroe. Like the point is,
Yeah, just go to Baseball Reference.
Yeah.
It's much easier. What are you going to ESPN for stats for, dude?
It has all it right there. I know.
Yeah, so does
I have
Baseball
Baseball
Reference.
Reference pulled up. I have 2 pages of Baseball Reference, but I thought it'd be easy.
No,
and
ESPN
they
is
made
not
it
easy to navigate.
as most
ESPN is-
difficult.
I could see what was going on. It had the scroller ad where as you scroll, it's like, oh, you want to see more of this movie trailer, so we're going to just keep
Okay,
dragging
MLB
it down.
Baseball
So-
Reference.
And now it's
Pain,
gone.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it was just very fun to watch.
Royals, scroll down. He's got as many home runs or more than Michael Massey and Drew Waters and Freddie Fermin.
But the point I was trying to make
an easy
is,
place to go to.
even with his somewhat struggles
Yes.
at the plate so far, the threat of the long ball is enough in my mind that he has to stay up. He just provides something different that this Royals team desperately needs. I'm not trying to pick on Mark Canha, but when Mark Canha was DHing and playing outfield, he's got a 571 OPS. He's slugging 268.
Yeah, you can't really ask, man, why is this offense struggling when Canha's your DH batting fifth?
Yeah,
It's pretty much
he has
self-explanatory at that
3
point.
extra base hits all season long. It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
And so even if Cags is, again, struggling a little bit or maybe slightly overmatched, you at least have to be wary of what he can do. And again, just this team is in desperate need of slug, and he is a guy that provides it. As much as I love Cam Devaney or a plethora of guys that we can talk about, they don't provide the slug potential that Cags has. That's what this team needs.
It's weary. Women don't get woolly. All right, it's weary. Go ahead, Les.
Yeah, that a baby.
Thank you.
If you just watch it technically, like if I'm managing Jack Caglione, no E on the end. So if I'm just managing him and I'm watching, like if I watch this lineup with Jack in it and I'm just watching, forget the result, watch technically what he's doing. Jack, except for swinging at bad pitches, is always a threat. His timing is excellent. His balance is almost perfect every time. His barrel's in the zone when he swings almost every time. He'll go with pitches. He's not pulling off pitches. He's not rolling over. He's not looping his swing. He's not. The only thing right now is that he just swings at. He just makes some bad pitches or bad selection right now on pitches just because he probably, as a young guy, sees his average. And he's never failed at anything baseball-wise, right? Because, what is he, like 14 years old? I mean, he hasn't been in the game long enough. So, but like if I watch the Masseys, I watch Kyle Isbell, Drew Waters is what he is. I see holes in their swings all the time. I see holes in Vinny's swing all the time. He just can figure things out sometimes, and he's just strong enough to figure it out. But he's also had enough experience to know that there's pitches he shouldn't swing at. So if I compare Vinny at the front side to Jack at the front side, I am perfectly fine with keeping Jack Caglione in the lineup, in the 5 or the 6 hole right now, wherever. I think he's potentially a 4-hole hitter. I just think he is.
Yeah.
But technically, he just does everything really well, and once he's a little more selective at pitches he can handle, he is going to be an all-star caliber hitter.
To Sterling's point, Bobby Witt, since Jack Caglione made his debut there in St. Louis, 18 games for Bobby Witt. He's batting .300, getting on base at .351, slugging .521, OPS .872, 4 doubles, 4 home runs, which would pace out for 36 apiece. 36 home runs, 36 doubles over the course of the season. And also, he would have, with his walks and strikeouts in this stretch, it would pace out to 54 walks and only 125 strikeouts through the course of the season for Bobby Witt. So that's closer to what we saw MVP caliber Bobby Witt being almost a 900 OPS hitter since Jack Caglione got called up, and maybe Bobby was like, I know that you guys love Jack, but I'm still Bobby Witt. Mick told the story yesterday. It was hilarious. He said Bobby Witt yesterday was having his camp, his little kid's baseball camp, and then they had like a Q&A, and he said the first couple of questions were about Jack Caglione. It's like, hold on. 2 years ago.
How does it feel, Bobby?
2 years ago, everybody on the Royals was getting asked, what's it like to play with Bobby Witt?
Yeah.
And now Bobby Witt's getting asked from little kids, Jack Caglione, what's it like? Is he as big as he looks? What's it like to be around Jack Caglione? How cool of a player is Jack Caglione? Like,
We
Bobby Witt.
need to start planting kids to ask Bobby these questions and see if it makes him all of a sudden go back to the Bobby that hit 330. All of a sudden,
I mean,
that's cool, Bobby, but like Jack did something cool too.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And then I think Mick said, one of the kids said, remember when Tariq Skubal picked you off? And Bobby goes, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
That's like Chris Farley in the Saturday Night Live. Remember that?
Is it
That
true?
was awesome.
Is it true that the love you receive is
Chris Farley show.
is equivalent to love you get? Whatever it is.
With John Lennon. Or who
Yeah,
was
that's right.
No. Paul McCartney.
Paul
my
McCartney,
bad.
yeah. Yeah, it was fun stuff. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, and I want to get Les's thoughts on Fernando Tatis and the lawsuit he is filing against a company that offers advances in a player's future earnings for what they make or what they can make immediately. It's called the Big League Advance. We'll take a timeout. More zone next. I know there are plenty of minor leaguers that have been approached with this, and plenty of minor leaguers that have signed this.
I would have signed this. $2,000 was my signing bonus.
Okay.
And if they would have come to me and said, hey, we feel like in the major leagues you're talented enough that you're maybe a $10 million player,
we need
whatever.
Let's recoup $13 million of that, so here's a percentage we'd want.
And especially coming from the low income life that I had up to that point, I feel like that's for guys like me at that time. I just don't understand why. Okay, he's 17. His dad is kind of a famous big leaguer.
Yeah.
I kind of think the family already had money. I don't know the relationship between father and son, but I think it's been good from what I've read.
I'm not sure either, to be honest with you.
I don't know. You never know that. But I also kind of think since he was a top prospect, he probably had good advisors. Now, I believe at 17, if it's you by yourself, then there would be potentially a legitimate, if you don't have an agent, if you don't have a coach, somebody, and they just come talk to you, and it's proven that you're the only one they talk to, okay, that's a little bit shady. But I think that Fernando Tatis Jr. had enough people around him that I don't know how he could have claimed at 17, Sterling, that
by the way,
he didn't know.
Real quick, just on the percentage-wise, they could have valued and looked at Tatis and said, you're a $2 million player or a $4 million player.
Sure.
So, or you know what? Let's say we think let's go this. You're a highly touted prospect. We think in your career you'll make $40 million.
Yeah.
So we're going to give you $2 million for 10% of your future earnings, so we get $4 million back. But we're going to give you $2 million right now. We'll get $4 million back for 10% because we valuate you as a $40 million player. So this is how this whole algorithm is going to work.
I don't get how Tatis thinks he has any leg to stand on. That's absurd.
Because
you signed that.
He was given the $2 million as a 17.
And if the company is doing everything legally,
sure.
If they're doing it now, if there's some illegal stuff going on, then
I would assume they're legal enough that they're suing Franmil Reyes for not paying them.
Absolutely. That's all I'm saying is that as long as everything is on the up and up, if you sign the contract and you had good advice, I think that
if Tatis doesn't hit, then he gets free $2 million. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Like,
part
what are
of
we
it.
doing? This is how it works. Did you think you were just going to get a free $2 million from this company?
He shouldn't have signed that contract.
Well,
He just never should have signed it.
but that's besides the point.
You're right. I'm just throwing it in there. I agree with you.
Yes.
I'm just throwing it in there. Never should have signed it.
99% maybe not 99, because I'm sure they probably have a better hit rate than that, but 90%, 80% are probably, you're just giving money away and you're never going to see a dime back because those guys aren't making it.
This is essentially the Javon Dexter lawsuit that's happening right now for the Florida player. He signed an NIL deal that guaranteed big league advance 15% of his future NFL earnings untaxed for 25 years. He's trying to get that thrown out with the state of Florida, who's also on his side, saying that it's a predatory practice that's only using the name, image, likeness to do this, basically. So he's still trying to get it thrown out.
So Fernando Tatis was signed for $700,000 by the White Sox in 2015 as a 16-year-old, and a year later he was offered the $2 million. So he got, essentially as a 17-year-old, he was sitting with almost $3 million before tax, but essentially $3 million, and no idea if he was ever going to make it because, again, he was 16, 17 years old. You're betting on the future.
But you're going to, as a top prospect.
He wasn't a top prospect. I don't think.
He was the number 28 ranked prospect on the international free agent signings.
Yeah,
sure.
So that's why the White Sox paid $700 and not like 2.5.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Go ahead, Les, because I know you got.
If you're a 6-figure signing bonus, though, I mean, there's still that part of it that the people around you should be coaching you into. If you make it, you're probably going to make more than that. I get they throw that in there, but
that's the interest.
It is, but here's also the deal with Tatis. You know, you said he signed that deal in the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
Was it? Okay. So I get that the majority, a high percentage of Dominican, Venezuelan, Puerto Rican players, they have nothing. They grow up with nothing. I kind of think, I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing based on his father's career that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
It's like Tony Pena, Tony Pena Jr., good athlete, wasn't the same as Fernando Tatis, but even though he grew up in a foreign country, he wasn't your typical Latin player that grew up and didn't have very much because his dad was Tony Pena.
If you can get a loan to go to college and you have to pay that back, this is the same thing because this is
Great point.
Imagine that, by the way,
great
it's the
point.
same, basically the same age.
Yeah.
It's the same age.
Yeah.
You have to pay that back whether you were successful or not.
Mm-hmm.
If you get that loan for college, doesn't matter. You could all of a sudden it doesn't work for you. You're still paying that back.
And by
This
the way,
is a better deal.
And by the way, my son who graduated with honors from nursing school and is now a nurse, paid back his student loans. Paid them back on his own. Paid them back.
Hell yeah.
3 months. 3 months in to his career, he is debt free.
Congratulations.
Because he planned ahead
That's
and
amazing.
paid him back. Now it's because he has a smart mother who helped him plan.
Well, yeah.
But I'm just saying,
And father.
I'm just not as much as mama. All I'm saying is that we instilled that in them young. If you pay back your debts, you pay back your loans. You
Yeah.
pay back what you sign.
So as we let you go, Les, I know that you're late. Fernando Tatis has talked about his father as he's my guy to go to always, my dad. Anything I need, he's the guy. He'll bring me down. He'll lift me up. He's the guy that. So if he was saying that people should have somebody look out for them, for these predatory lenders, his dad was a professional baseball player.
Yeah, a pretty good one.
And with an agent and a guy that probably you would say, hey, let our lawyers look at this contract here, Fernando.
Yeah, I think the lawyers
Junior.
is what we're talking here.
Yep.
That's what we're seeing.
Yep. Les, you're the man. Appreciate it, brother.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
Yep. We'll take a timeout, come back, continue rolling. More Zone next. Best of. Got Bethany coming up tonight at 7 o'clock, Covell at 8 o'clock. So, fun day of shows. Royals 640, Chris Abubich taking on Taj Bradley. Royals 2 games under 500. We hang out with Todd Lebo here for the 1 o'clock hour after some real excitement here at the station in the parking lot. I get told we go to break, and I get told, Jake goes, hey, man, you need to move your car because, like, the parking lot just buckled, and there's water everywhere coming up from the parking lot. And
it's actively.
And your car is right there underneath it. And I'm like, huh, what's that? Or this happened underneath your car. I'm like, what? So I go out there, and sure enough, the parking lot has buckled, but it buckled in front. So I back into the parking spot, parking spot. I back into the parking spot. So my car is easy to spot, and it's easy to park.
Ding, ding.
It's my parking spot at Union Broadcasting. So right in front of my front tires is where this thing has buckled up. So I'm assuming the weight of my car kept it from buckling further towards
Your car needs
the
to go on a
curb.
diet.
Well, that's fine.
From my office, I
I
couldn't
ju-
quite tell.
I didn't know what
how
Jake was talking about. I'm like,
far,
what are you
when
talking
I went
about?
downstairs, like, I don't know if you can drive over that thing.
Yeah,
And it's probably
well-
best not to.
Well, I put it in 4-wheel drive. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
And then I backed up onto the grass and then hung a quick little right. Just cut that thing a little Ralph, and went that way to avoid the buckling of said parking lot. I was a little worried though that as I started to move it, would everything else start buckling up as well, where it would have been?
And
Like
you fall into.
I don't
an
know.
abyss.
Les was over there too. Les's car was next to mine, so Les was also in the. He had to move his car and worried about what would happen if he, moved it. But
It's like a minor earthquake. The tectonic plates just. But
That's what it was.
I didn't know there was a fault line underneath Union Broadcasting, but apparently the fault line.
Yeah,
The
I don't know
San
whose-
Andreas fault.
I don't know
might be
whose fault was it.
right here. Yours for your sturdy
Yes,
car.
It's your fault.
Yeah,
You were right
I
on
know.
top of it.
I know. If my car wouldn't have been there, what would have happened? Would the entire parking lot have caved in like a sinkhole, like the Corvette Museum
Yeah. Question: Are we on a
in
sinkhole?
Bowling Green?
Like, should we
don't
be
know.
worried? Because we
I
had
think you
that
find out
turkey
you're-
vulture here for a long time. I feel like that was a harbinger of bad news. I feel like we should be like that.
feel
That
like-
has to be something.
I feel like you find out you're in a sinkhole, or you're on a sinkhole when
When it
the
sinks,
sinkhole
yeah.
collapses. I think that's when you find. Yep. As
This
you're
must be a
yelling
sinkhole.
while you're falling.
Yeah.
Yep, we were in a sinkhole. I told you. Oh. You remember the Corvette Museum collapsing because
That
it was on
sucks.
a sinkhole, and all of those rare, Corvettes in the museum. And those pictures of the showroom and everything, just all those Corvettes scattered everywhere because it all collapsed like, 70, 100, 150 feet down. And there's they had to bring in all of this equipment to try to, get these Corvettes out and refurbish them and everything. So, yeah. So that happened here. But also we saw that video in Cape Girardeau
Yeah, where
yesterday.
the concrete buckled up.
buckled up,
Yeah.
and that car ramped.
It's just not that
The
hot
Duke's
here.
a hazard.
I don't know.
They're just getting some much needed.
That's right.
hang
Yes,
time.
that's exactly right.
The boys are.
That car absolutely got off the ground too.
Yeah.
That car had 4 wheels
I don't know
off
what
the ground.
what can you even do? It
was like a Prius,
You literally
too.
can do nothing in that situation.
Because it buckled right before it got there.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know if that person saw it, because would your line of sight have seen that it buckled
you
because
don't
you were
expect
so
that.
close to
Oh,
it?
I've driven here 100 times.
Yes, that's right. This is where it always
There's
buckles.
never a ramp right here.
Oh, man. I remember when I was a small child. I don't know why this is something I remember.
Were
but
you a tyke?
We were leaving our neighborhood, and we hit a bump. We're like, I don't remember there being a bump there. And it was one of our neighbor's dogs.
Dude, what?
I know.
Way
that
to
was-
ruin my
that's what
Tuesday.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you drive that road all the time, and you don't remember bumps being there. You're like, that was odd. Why did that happen?
You just ruined my Tuesday.
Dude, it was like 1985. You're fine.
Was the dog okay?
I mean,
No.
Tell me the dog was okay.
Yes, the
all
dog was
dogs-
fine.
The dog was fine,
Yeah,
and
it was
eventually,
the car that we need to.
yeah,
ask about.
the car. Yeah, we had to get a new rims. It totally destroyed the.
My old dog got hit by a car and was fine.
Yeah,
he got some minivan was flying, and my dog he was Jack Russell Terrier, got thrown, and he eventually learned after that.
Right.
He looked both ways.
Yeah.
From then on out,
Left, right, left.
He would look both ways before
Yeah.
crossing the street.
Well,
it was a learning experience.
They're
for him.
smart dogs.
Yeah.
Those Jack Russell Terriers, smart
And they're
dogs.
fierce.
I will say this: I don't know what happened to it then, but I was told that all dogs go to heaven, so I believe that dog is in heaven at some point from that moment on.
Not right then,
I don't know.
but another time.
I have no idea.
I about
you
hit a
know?
deer coming in yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, it was it's 5:15 in the morning coming
That's
in
right,
to
yeah.
do the
Do
new
your-
day, and it's
yeah.
dark, and I'm driving on View High, the way to
That's
get to the
right.
highway. And I'm not.
You're going about 80, 85?
No, I'm going like 40. And
In a
I
10?
I see this deer off on the right. He's gonna run across the road. I'm like, all right, I see it. Brake.
Yeah,
brake, brake. I mean, what are you doing?
It's
you
like timing it
dummy?
up, timing it up, timing it up. I think
And-
I can get there. I think I can get
and
there.
so I eventually had to come to a complete stop, and I don't know, missed him by a foot. I'm like,
Deers kind of have a death wish.
I'm in a
think.
white vehicle with bright lights on, and he's just like, "What are you doing, buddy?"
Well, have you heard the saying, deer in headlights?
Well, if he had been right in the headlights, it'd been fine. But he was coming from the side, and he ended up going over to Arbanus Golf Course. Maybe he had a tee time early, but it was dark. It was dark.
Well, he had to hit some
Had to
balls.
get had swings in
Get
on the
some
range.
swings in.
Ninth tee at 5:19 is
Yeah.
what he was told.
I mean, seriously, it was like a ways from sunlight. But that's as close as I've come to being involved with a deer in a while. But yeah,
Yeah.
we got this going on in our parking lot right
Yeah,
now.
that's
If
fun.
you hit the deer, would you have take his clothes off?
Take the
cleaned
clothes
it,
off and everything, clean it
dressed
up,
it,
clean
made it
that
for
up.
us.
It
yeah,
wasn't
and
much of a deer.
Dive into that, man.
It's a
Yeah,
spring
yeah.
deer, you
Was
know.
it a doe?
I mean, at this time of year, they've shed their antlers, so it
Yeah.
might have been a young buck, but it wasn't much of a deer.
Oh, young buck over there.
Yeah,
Oh, young.
Not
buck.
much-
but that's
much
that's not
venison.
nearly
Way
as
out
weird as what's
west.
happening in our parking lot right
Yes,
now.
absolutely.
Because there was an alarm beeping,
Yeah.
and I don't
Whose
know if
was
that
it?
was yours. I assume it's yours because you
probably
were the
mine.
one who'd been lifted a foot.
Yes, my car had been lifted.
Did you get a
And,
nice underbody wash though?
That's exactly right.
Les
Yeah, well,
was 2 or 3 spots over, so
I don't know.
he was in shallower waters.
yeah. Either it was either this water main break was coming up through the parking lot, and there was like dirt or something, or it was
Andy
poopy,
Dufresne is about
or
halfway
it
to
was,
freedom.
or it was poopy water.
Could be.
And
It didn't smell.
Yeah.
It did not. So I'm hoping it wasn't poopy
I think
water.
it's just dirty water.
Yeah. So
But we still have water pressure in the building.
Sterling knows about
they
that
turned
dirty
the water
water.
off now, though.
that
so-
brown water, that
All
dirty
about
water. Yeah, you like that bourbon, that old dirty water. Yeah, that brown water.
my cough
Yeah,
medicine.
That's right. That
So
grandpa's old
anyway,
cough
that's what
medicine,
we
huh?
got going on.
All right, that works.
I like your gruff ruppin T-shirt.
little GR in the house.
Real. I designed that.
By the way, didn't they just pave that spot in the parking lot as well? In that brand new asphalt?
Oh my gosh, I think you're
not
right.
sure.
They did.
It
Ah,
is.
they may have just.
Either that or they painted.
Yeah, they painted it
recently,
dark.
But
I
either
don't know.
way, they're gonna have to.
I saw a truck that was driving, and it was, I don't remember the company, but it was a hell of a saying, and it said, it was an asphalt company, and it said, if you don't use us, that's your own asphalt.
I like it.
I was like, that's a hell of a line.
That's a good
really
one.
good.
You know? Right.
I like the one where it's like your wife's hot, we'll cool her down for like
Mm-hmm.
HVAC companies. I feel like that's always a good.
Yeah. Is your wife hot?
Yeah.
Some of those billboards that are out there. Yes. Wasn't Bob Jones giving everybody fits?
Yeah, the shoes.
Bob Jones shoes, he gives everybody fits. Grass pads high on grass.
Yeah,
Totally.
Those are some fun ones, man. If you don't use us, it's your own asphalt. It's really good. Todd, what do you want to talk about today, huh? You want to talk travel? You want to talk Royals? You want to talk you getting an extra 3 days of vacay? You know, not having to go to St. Joe for 3 days.
That's
Andy
pretty nice.
Reid. How about Andy Reid waiting till Adam Teicher retires to say, you know what, you guys don't need to be here that early anymore. You know what, go do your own thing, guys. Don't
But
worry
still,
about that.
if you want to come talk to us about moving into camp, let's do it Sunday night, 5 o'clock. They did do that.
That's exactly right.
You know, it is interesting that they're not doing that. I mean, but Andy talked about it right last week. I mean, they don't really have the right numbers of people who would be there to get anything out of it. And they have had a lot of good participation in everything they've really done on OTAs and all the phases. So, yeah, it's fine. It's good. They'll be just fine. You know, the season will happen. This team made the Super Bowl one year when they didn't have training camp.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, they had one preseason game.
Yeah.
Someone has to go.
Somebody will make the Super Bowl. We know that.
Somebody's going to be the damn champion.
Yeah, we will know that. Somebody will make a Super Bowl this year. Hopefully it's a team that plays at Arrowhead Stadium.
It is unusual, though. Andy has been a real creature of habit, done the same thing forever. And the apple cart was upset during the pandemic, and they adapted very well. And they did a great job handling all the curveballs, and they made the Super Bowl that year. They didn't win, but they made the Super Bowl. And from that, they ended up thinking, you know what? We can do phase one of the OTAs virtually.
Right.
It's fine. They've got an engaged quarterback who, you know.
He's married now.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's engaged with the team.
Oh, I see.
They
Yeah.
should get married too. But they've got 3 rings.
I think
Get
they're
married.
I think they're married contractually.
Yeah.
For a number of years.
But he is willing to work with players at his home down in Texas and do all this stuff. And they're all in, you know, they don't have people going off on trips to Egypt or just not coming to OTAs. So I think the quarterback has earned not being there for 4 more days.
Yeah. And maybe
all
it
the
is.
work
I
he's
mean, I do wonder, like, is it all about Patrick Mahomes? Because, and certainly some of what you're talking about, the participation, how much are they in need of the rookies producing at a high level this year for the roster they have? How much is it that they've had so much in the offseason or so little offseason throughout the years? But also the only person that would be there, because it's rookies, would be, you know, like Rashee Rice injured, but it would be Patrick Mahomes. So is there an element of like, Pat, you don't need to be here. You know, we're not even going to do this. Like, how much are we getting out of it versus being up here? Maybe even for the coaches' standpoint. You guys have had less of an offseason,
Absolutely.
too. There's nothing that we're getting out of this in these 3 days that we don't get out of camp, the mini camp and OTAs, and there are probably 90% of the people here as rookies that aren't going to be on this team.
And, you know, not many teams do what the Chiefs do. A lot of teams go away somewhere.
Yeah.
But they don't stay in small college dorms.
Right.
You know, they're staying at a Hilton property or something like that. And, you know, they all do. Andy does. The coaches do. You know, $1 million players. So, yeah.
Do they bring their own beds?
No, they have
No.
beds there. Some guys bring like
fans or
little,
like
they'll bring little
or-
mattressy type things that,
what are
you
those
know.
things called? The egg crates?
Yeah.
What they're called? They look like the egg cartons.
But you
That's
bring
what they
your,
look
you know,
like.
someone bring, you know, TV and video games and stuff like that. No, they're
Yeah.
just in the
They're in the dorm
dorms.
bed.
That sounds fun.
I think
you
it
ready.
is kind of fun for a while, but until you're a 60-year-old dude who's been coaching. For
Well, not the
25
coach, but if
years.
you're a player, that sounds kind of
Yeah,
fun.
the bad
I'd
part
do
is-
it now.
Yeah, but you know, if you're 6'5", 330 pounds,
Oh.
not
Well, that's
great.
why I asked about the beds. If they get extenders or, I mean, that cannot be comfortable.
No, I
They
think
may
maybe
have
some
to.
guys bring their own little whatevers. You know, bring.
I mean, a twin
buy
bed, a
private
full.
mattress, you know, but the rooms aren't big. You can't put like a king size bed in these.
No,
things.
you can do mega bed.
Yeah.
You just push a whole bunch of beds together.
Maybe
It's pretty
maybe a
interesting.
California King because it's not as.
You know, they don't ever. You never see a player. They must have rules. They never see a player tweeting video or texting anything
That's a
out
good point.
from. Then they've been going up there for years.
Yeah.
They've never once seen the inside of one of these rooms on anyone's story or whatever. They're like, this is what we do, and we're not doing these things. Which it's a credit to the team too that
Yeah.
these players will.
You always see it like whenever the team is on Hard Knocks, they'll show the player in their bed, sort of like next to the phone, waiting on cut down day if the phone's going to ring or hoping it doesn't ring, like in their dorm or in their hotel, wherever they're staying. But, Chiefs not being on Hard Knocks and all that. with Andy Reid probably never going to be on Hard Knocks. As long as
Neville?
they will be on Hard Knocks the day that they have joint practices with another team.
That's not happening either.
Not happening either.
We're going to do it this way.
Yes, and they do it a specific way, and you know what? It's worked.
Yeah.
I'm surprised with all the copycat leagues, teams out there that they're not following more of what Andy Reid does. And, the joint playing players in the preseason games and not having joint practices. Having some, whether it be tougher, like I don't know if it's tougher physically, they have the rules in place, so everybody's doing the same thing. But it seems to be it's tougher because of it's not really taking any time off in the practice. Like you are going station to station to station, that it's one of the most efficient practices, and you're going to maximize every single minute you're out there so that when you're done, you are going to be at a level of exhaustion that maybe with other teams you might have more breaks in between. I don't know, because they only are allowed the same amount of time as every other team to do stuff.
But they do a nice job, too. They practice in the morning. They're not practicing in the afternoon. It's hot up there. We know that. But, it's the Midwest. It could be nice one day. But generally it's hot. But they're done by 11:30. They're inside at that point. Because there were years when they would be out there in the afternoon. There'd be every once in a while they'd have an afternoon practice in the olden days before Andy Reid got there, and back in the really olden days when they were at River Falls, or they would have 2 practices in a day, and they would be night, afternoon, and it got warm enough up in River Falls. It was warm enough. It wasn't crazy hot, but it was definitely warm there in the afternoon sometimes, and there's no shade to be had at these practices unless you go to the little tent because you're quote unquote hurt. The injured tent, but it's hot up there, and they take care of them. They go inside when it's raining hard. There's lightning, and they get practice done early. They have a lot of things they have to do, so it's not easy. Not everyone's practice is hot like this. I mean, the Cowboys still go to California, right?
Yeah.
So they're not practicing out in the heat in Dallas. Now they go other places too. They come back. I mean, did I see the Rams?
The Rams had a Bahamas
mandatory mini camp was in Maui.
Yeah, Maui. That's what it was. It was a Maui mini camp.
Now, here's what I think about that. I think about all of these things as I am the vice president of sports operations of a radio station, and I'm like, you know what we're not doing? We're not flying to Maui for practice.
God, I wish we were.
I
would definitely cover.
Have you thought about that?
Point.
Have you thought about flying us out to the Maui Union Broadcasting Maui?
The Maui
Bash?
Invitational? No. How about you drive up to St. Joe every once in a while and go cover practice?
And then maybe one day down the line, if that ever happens, you might have your ring in the hat.
I go every last day.
Callback.
I go to the first one and the last one typically. That's kind of my calling.
So you're going to go to game number 81, home date for the Royals?
The Raiders are in Vegas, but I think the Raiders still do something in California as well. I think part of their thing is so they're some of these teams it's away, and I think about it. It costs money for the media to go cover these things. And I think they like it because I think they get less media going out and covering because there's no chance as many people went to Rams minicamp that would be there if it was in town.
Right.
No chance.
Yep, absolutely.
Cowboys are in like Thousand Oaks, California.
Thousand Oaks, that's what
Now,
it is.
part of that is because they've been doing that for years, probably because it was 1 billion degrees in Texas, and they went out there to do that. But
they also have a big fan
to do
base in LA.
And they've also done one year, I think we were at Big 12 Media Days, and they did a few days in San Antonio one year. They had it inside the Alamo Dome. I remember one year we were down there, there's all these Cowboys. What are they doing here now? But they paraded around and charged people money.
Makes sense.
They're more concerned about that than winning playoff games. Cowboys.
Well, how else do you pay for Dak Prescott's contract?
That's a good point.
Giving
Not giving
stadium
fully
tours as
guaranteed
well.
contracts. You don't give fully guaranteed deals. That's what you do. That's just smart. Before we take a break and do some fact or fiction, I wanted to talk a little Royals here. Chris Bubich is on the mound. Seth Lugo did his thing against the Padres yesterday. This morning, Kylie McDaniel and Jeff Passan collaborated for ranking Major League Baseball's top 50 trade deadline candidates.
Yeah.
And then the percentage of them being traded and the best fits for them. Number one, and by the way,
I'm guessing these are all people leaving the Royals, not coming in.
We'll see.
Because I saw some story the other day. It was like all the, here's the playoff contenders, and I scrolled down, and there was nothing about the Royals on there.
The Royals are like at one point, like last week when they got swept by the A's, it was like 13% chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Happy Gilmore quote you used earlier this week. Well, Coach, I'm not seeing my name on the list here.
Oh, your name's on the list, right? No, it's not. Well, then you didn't make the team.
That's how that works.
Says players are ranked by value for their new team if traded, not the likelihood of being dealt.
Okay.
So number one is Alex Bregman, but the chance of being traded is 10%. Number 2, Jarren Duran, Red Sox.
Red Sox sellers.
Yeah, chance of being traded 25%, but they list Kansas City as a best fit. Padres, Braves, Guardians, Royals, Giants, and Phillies. Number 3, the first pitcher that shows up is Sandy Alcantara for the Marlins. Chance of being traded 60%. Freddie Peralta of the Brewers. Chance of being traded 20%. Eugenio Suarez. Chance of being traded 50%. Also lists the Kansas City Royals as one of the best fits. Number 6 on the list, Seth Lugo. Chance of being traded 40%, according to Kyler McDaniel and Jeff Passan.
So the Royals are definitely in that spot where the best fit for someone to come to is there, and then they're also maybe you should trade somebody.
Maybe the 6th most valuable person that could be on the trade market
right
is
where
on
you want
your
to be.
team.
You don't know what to do.
You have no clue what to do. There's a lot of Diamondbacks on this team, on this list. There's
like
a lot
6.
of Orioles, a lot of Orioles
Red
here.
Sox.
I think the highest percentage of being traded is Ryan O'Hearn at 85%. With Seattle,
the Royals
Boston,
need
San
a
Francisco, and
left-handed
Texas.
bat that doesn't have a
No,
They
it's,
can only play first base
yes.
and DH.
Seattle, Boston, San Francisco, and Texas are the ones listed as the best fits for Ryan O'Hearn. Although I'm not sure with Devers, Ryan O'Hearn would be a best fit for San Francisco anymore since they got Devers.
Well, Chapman's still
to
injured.
play first
though.
base.
Yes,
He might. He said he would.
He'll play anywhere.
How did
Second
by the way,
base.
How's
how-
that trade working out, by the way?
But-
Do we have a fact or fiction on that or something? I'm trying to remember. I think the Giants are almost winless since.
Interesting.
No, because I thought they beat the Red Sox. He went yard against them too.
But by the
I
way,
think they got swept by the Red
how
Sox.
how
seriously?
Yeah.
they Friday night you're playing the Red Sox. How do you not put Devers at first base?
Just because.
You have to play Devers at first base on Friday night
He
against
said he
the
wouldn't
Red
do it.
Sox.
He probably said, I'm doing that.
But against the Red Sox, when
Oh,
he said,
trust me, I know.
I'll do anything this team needs me to do. We need you to play first base Friday night only. We don't care. Just go out. I don't care if you are a butcher over there. Take a frying pan at the first base. You're playing
They
first
took
base.
2 of 3 from the Red Sox.
No,
so
Dylan said.
I don't
one
know
way,
what you're
Dylan
talking
said,
about.
You don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about
They
the
took
facts.
2 of 3 against the
Don't
Red
worry about the
Sox.
facts.
Yes,
Fiction.
fact or fiction. It's fiction.
Fiction.
I was right. Why am I getting yelled at?
But you're
'Cause
telling
you're
him
you.
fiction.
You're you.
My
Yes.
bad.
I'm going to
They
put you in that
had
dirty
game
water.
2 and lost it. So they won the first game 7-5, then lost 3-2, and then 9-5.
Oddly enough, I wasn't following that series.
Yeah. By the way, out of the top 50 players, only Seth Lugo from the Royals shows up on this
Only
list.
one, no Bubic.
No Bubic,
Not a trade
no
candidate,
Waka?
apparently.
yeah, no Waka, no Lorenzen or anything like that.
So that means the Royals
I need
should
Dylan to
be
walk that comment back.
buyers.
should be buyers if they only have one of the top 50 most valuable
and they're a
players.
good fit.
And they're a good fit with a number of them. Who knows what they do? But I just thought that was interesting.
Check
with the
back in a
position
week,
they're in.
we'll see.
19 games left before the All-Star break.
Yeah.
If they go 10-9, they are 1 game under 500. If they go 9-10, now they fall into 3 games under 500. These are good teams that
What do
they're
you think
going
the
up
wild
against.
card's
too.
going to be this year? The last wild card.
It damn near might be 500.
I said like 84 and
It's going to
78.
be less than last year.
Yeah. 84 wins might get it
I
done.
said 84 and 78
Yeah.
probably get you that final
What
wild
was the
card.
Yeah, so
number
3
last
games
year?
away
No.
from being 500.
It was last year. It was higher than that, right?
Oh,
Well,
I
they
think
were
it was
they won 86,
80
right?
Yeah, 86.
So they were the final wild card
Yeah.
spot. So they won 86 games. And they needed all 86 because they had the tiebreaker over
Needed
the
them all.
Mariners. They needed every single one of them 86. They don't ask you how. They ask you how many.
get in
And they
there.
got 86. So
Fact.
they are in a holding pattern right now
Fact.
with the ability to go one way or another. And also, no matter what happens the rest of the way, they could, in theory, hold Seth Lugo to try to get maximum value to say, well, we're not sellers yet. I mean, we're looking to be buyers. Even at the trade deadline, we're still trying to buy. We're not trying to sell. And if you want Seth Lugo, you're really going to have to overpay here. And the Seth Lugo connections are the Cubs or the best fits. Cubs, Astros, Blue Jays, Padres, Dodgers. What he just did against the Padres and what I mentioned earlier, I think the Cubs have 6 straight games where they've given up 6 or 7 runs in a game. They traded some pieces for Kyle Tucker to then want to pay him in the offseason. So they've kind of pushed some chips in on the Kyle Tucker this year for the Chicago Cubs. What better way to say that, Kyle Tucker, we're serious around here, we're going to give you the money, you should sign here, than we're also trading some of our top prospects to win with rent a player in 2025 while you're here. So re-sign because we're going to keep doing this while you're here.
I think my opinion on what the Royals should do is probably going to change every night.
We'll see
Because you
tonight.
just gotta-
You beat the Rays, they
You're
should
a man
buy.
of conviction, Lebo.
And then if you lose,
And if
the
they
next
lose,
day,
you should be sellers.
What are you doing here?
What if they tie?
Well, that would be weird.
Well, sometimes when you actually lose. Sometimes when you lose, you actually win.
No, you
Not in
lose, you
sports.
lose, you
But
win,
sometimes when you win or lose, you actually tie. But sometimes when you tie, you actually win or lose.
Sometimes,
Fiction.
Sometimes
That's fiction.
The parking lot breaks. You have to move your car.
Fact. Fiction.
So, since Todd had a rough travel experience getting back from Canada,
Oh, Canada.
excuse me,
Something
getting
native
back
land.
from Philly.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
no problem getting.
What happened to
Getting-
Philly?
Philly, the airport sucks.
They canceled my flight.
Yeah.
I don't mind their airport there.
Did you want to be in there for 18 hours?
No, I
Okay,
don't.
I
you mind
was.
it that much?
18 hours?
Yeah, about.
18.
Did
of
you
them.
at least go out and like do
No.
something?
No,
Do what?
we were
It was
done with our
overnight.
vacation.
You didn't go to South Philly?
It was
No.
overnight.
You didn't go to Big Charlie's Saloon or
No.
go to Jim's or Joe's or Ish Kabibbles?
No. I'll say this.
Did you go to West Philadelphia? You go to the
Whisker
playground?
do's, whisker don'ts. Yeah.
So
with or
With or
without
without scooter sticks?
I got stuck in the Philly airport once for about 8 hours several years ago, and I had a Philly cheesesteak.
Why are you
One
always
of them's in
stuck there?
I don't know, but I'm never flying back through there again, ever.
Good for you.
So this time, like we've been in Canada, and we were like just gonna go to this food court after we knew our flight was late. We're going to go. We're gonna eat Chick-fil-A. I'm gonna tell you something. Chick-fil-A is the nicest people in the world, and has the greatest service in
Right.
the world. It's not the same at the airports. It is just not the same. It's not the same.
More rude.
Yes,
Your
and just
your pleasure. It's not my pleasure. It's your pleasure.
God, what would Gates be like?
not the food.
Get
was,
your ass over here and order right now.
that it was bad.
Not how may I help you?
It was dry, not as good, and
that's
oddly
too
enough,
bad.
and they had this is the wars there are in the world, not the real wars, but the cola wars.
yeah.
Pepsi, because it's the Philly airport's a Pepsi place, and they had Pepsi products at the Philadelphia airport. Now I don't eat pop. Eat pop, drink
You don't
pop.
eat it? I don't eat it. I drink it, though.
Drink water.
Whose
so I was
pop
going to
you
get an
eating?
unsweet tea.
I drink pop.
They said we don't have any ice. Okay. You got no ice? You got no ice? And they gave me a tea. It was not unsweet.
Well, they have water ice.
Oh, and it was sweetened?
It was not unsweet. And so then there I was. 12 more hours to go.
Well,
that
that's just
sucks,
Philly
man.
for you. You're going to get something. You're not going to like it, and
why you go to
you're
Newark.
going to deal with it.
If you have any chance to do the Newark airport,
Newark
and that-
stinks too. Newark's the one
It's
where
better
the
than
planes
Philly.
are falling out of the sky.
better than
They know
Philly.
what they're doing.
Still
yeah,
better
that's
than
true,
Philly.
too. Yeah, I don't know. Philly, they're not going to feed you or give you or cancel your flight. But Newark, will you get there?
I don't know. Will you make it? Don't know.
All
Fact
right,
or fiction?
We'll
Let's go.
start with Lebo because of his travels getting back.
Fact or fiction, Lebo.
Yep.
Pacers should not have let Halliburton play.
Fiction.
Yeah, fiction. It's not up to them.
Fiction.
Fiction, correct. That is up to Tyrese. He said if he were going to do it again, he'd do it the same.
Yeah. Yep.
Corey Smith sang that song.
I think it's dumb, though, if he knew he was going to tear his Achilles and they were going to lose,
Yeah.
he would not
Yeah.
want to do it again.
Probably.
Yeah, but he's going to tear the Achilles at some point anyway. So
Well, not if that calf is good, though. I mean, if that calf muscle gets strong, then maybe not. I don't know.
So I was reminded,
It's
and
happening.
remember the Christian McCaffrey all season? It was
Yeah.
the Achilles tendonitis that he
Tendonitis,
was
that's right.
diagnosed with. That people think that that's what Tyrese had. The only difference was that happened for Christian McCaffrey at the beginning of the season because obviously the
Yeah,
fantasy,
and he
fantasy
sat out
stuff.
most of the year.
Right. And remember
Screwed me.
he was about to be back. Then he had to go to Germany to get another consultation
right.
on it. It's kind of the new diagnosis instead of calf strain where they look a little deeper and they say that these are micro tears in your Achilles when you have
Interesting.
Achilles tendonitis. So
Okay.
it's almost
prove to me you can fix it then. I don't know.
there's
Yeah.
no way to do it without rest. And they didn't even know there was no timetable for McCaffrey because remember, like I said, they
Week
went to
one.
Germany. They said, oh, he's coming back. Well, wait, now we need another 4 weeks. It's tough.
Yeah.
Schedule rolls on.
Jason,
Nope, Dylan.
you'll go third.
I'll go second on
Dylan.
this one.
That's my fault.
Dylan,
Yes.
I really, really, really miss Lebo.
Well, he's right there. So
No,
I'll
on
go
his
fiction.
vacation.
Oh, okay. I'll go fact.
Fact.
That's a lot of reallys.
A lot of reallys. Was it 2, 3, 4?
I'll say fact because I hope you missed me.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
I did miss you. I missed you so much.
You missed you that much?
I
You missed
really,
you that
really
much?
missed
a
Really,
lot of
really,
reallys.
really?
I would walk into his office and just sit there and be like,
Where is he?
talk. I'd talk, have full conversations, but just without him, it'd just be me in there having full conversations by
You'd
myself.
be like John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, just walk in like, what do I do?
Hey,
that's
Lebo.
So I guess I'm going to leave here. Get the shot. I'll go first on this one.
All right, Jason.
Yep.
Evan Sisk needs to be called up.
True fact.
Yep.
Fact.
No, you got to say sure.
Yeah,
Fact.
okay.
Fact. It is a fact. Evan
Perhaps.
Sisk needs to be. He's got a
True.
.49 ERA
Yes.
Bring
in
him back
AAA
up.
right
Sure.
now.
Come on.
But no, you got to call up and make sure you have a spot for Sam Long.
We're playing
He's
true,
long
true
gone.
yeah, sure, or
Yep.
fiction.
Yep.
True, yep, sure, or fiction. All right, we're all tied at 3, actually. Todd leads us off on this one.
Lebo, now we start getting hard.
Okay.
Pause. Phrasing. Go.
Cal Raleigh,
Let's make it too easy. Sometimes.
big dumper, will hit at least 55 homers this
Ooh,
year.
Wow.
Fiction.
Where's he at?
32.
He's
32.
quickest to 30 since Bonds. I'll go fact.
I'm going to go fact as well.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Check that one.
I think fiction. We will not. I think he gets to 55.
Fiction.
60 felt too much. Felt too much.
Yeah, 60's a lot. Yeah, he only needs 23 more. It's not even
Big
halfway
dumper,
there.
baby. Big dumper's dumping him. We'll go
He's
to
good, man.
Dylan. I am really nervous about Lucas Erceg going forward.
Fact.
Boy, the really on this one is going to throw me
Only
off.
one really, though.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to say fiction on the really nervous. Fiction.
I'm going to say fact because he wants to bring Evan Sisk up as well. So I'll go fact.
Fiction. I'm not bringing up Evan Sisk for Lucas Erceg. I'm bringing it up for Sam Long.
Are you not? You're just nervous.
I'm
but
nervous,
but not really.
I'm not really nervous. I'm
Yeah.
nervous, but I'm not really nervous about Erceg. I'm not panicked, but I have some questions.
Read that one like a book.
I didn't even
like
make
a
you read.
book.
We'll go to James Anderson this time.
Me.
Birthday boy.
Me.
It's your birthday?
Oh, he
no
didn't
idea.
even know.
No idea. No idea.
No
Wait,
one's mentioned the birthday on the radio.
I didn't when it was mine. He didn't when
Almost
it was
made it. Almost made it.
Happy
to the
birthday, Jason!
Happy
Tough luck,
birthday.
buddy.
Fiction.
It is a happy birthday.
Well, I don't know.
Your
my
car's still
my
alive.
car. You know what? It is good.
Is it his birthday?
On a different day.
Let me check the. Normally, I get like emails from
No,
Gabe.
there's no emails. Gabe's out of town.
Why isn't Gabe sending me emails about your birthday?
It's the only thing I care about Facebook for. Get
I was thinking
birthdays.
about wearing that suit today, but I did
That's
not.
it.
I
How,
decided to dress in
Go to
something
your next
different.
question.
Yep,
No.
I'll lead off on this. How about for my birthday? I'll go first on this one.
Okay,
since
that's your gift.
also the turn that I'm on anyway.
Pulled pork is superior to brisket.
You're an idiot if you say fact, so I'll say fiction.
I think he might say fact on this. We've talked
I think
about
we have,
barbecue before, and I think he had pulled pork higher than I thought he would have. It's harder to mess up brisket, but I'm saying if we're saying perfectly cooked, I'll call that a fiction because brisket's better
oh my
perfectly
God.
cooked.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go fiction. Same reason.
It's fiction.
Better be fiction.
But they're about equal
No, they're
because I think you're right.
It's false.
When
Could you give me more
when brisket
consistent
is
with pulled pork?
yes, when brisket is perfectly cooked, it is wow.
But when it's
But
not cooked, it's not
It's
great.
it's like inedible.
Yeah.
And pulled pork for the most
well,
part
I
is
mean, I'll eat it, but
it's
Yeah.
gonna be good no matter what.
it's hard to mess up pulled pork.
So that's the reason why. So they're equal.
I got
Yeah,
you.
that's what makes brisket better is that anybody can do the pulled pork apparently,
Yeah.
but making a nice
Yeah, but the
brisket.
consistency-
I can do a pulled pork.
Yeah, I mean we could all pull
we-
some pork. We start with Todd on this one. It is 6 to 5 to 4. We're all tied.
It is your birthday. Happy birthday, Jason.
Todd goes first.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Todd goes first.
Gosh, can't
The
believe
crowd enjoys it.
I'm
One horn.
Thank you, crowd.
I'm mad at Gabe for not letting me know. I needed like
Yay.
a specific text from Gabe. I was gonna get you a present, or actually I wasn't.
No,
I was
you
gonna
weren't.
pretend I was going to. Now I can't
Yeah.
even pretend.
Oh, I would have totally got you a present had I known it was your birthday. Anyway, Todd goes first. 6-5-4. We're all tied.
I am concerned
You are.
the Royals called Jack up too early. There's no really in front of this one.
Fiction.
Easy. Yeah.
Fiction.
Fiction.
That's fiction. I
Yeah.
thought.
That's a
come on,
fact. I
dude.
saw it on PBS.
I
That
thought
was that was a layup. That
You
should have
tried
been
to
your-
sell it.
Should have been your first one.
tried to.
Yeah. 7-6-5. Usually there's a layup as your first one. That was
Yeah,
a layup.
typically.
7-6-5. We're all tied. Dylan goes first.
Dylan, the Royals should take a look at recently DFA'd Heimer Candelario. He was with the Reds.
Yeah. Fact. Fact.
Wow. Take a look at him. I mean, I think they could probably look at him, but I mean, the Reds are looking at him walk away when they still owe him $20 million. If he's that bad, where the Reds are like, we'll pay $20 million just to get the hell out of here, I'd say no. I'd say I'm going to go no fiction.
Okay.
Fiction.
It's fiction.
Yeah.
It's a fake.
I'm glad I got Dylan. At least that seemed like a good question.
I didn't even know who that was. So.
Yeah.
Heimer Candelario with the
nobody
Reds.
cares.
He had 20-plus home runs like the past couple seasons, was injured, went down,
I
got
get
called
20
up.
home runs at that bandbox.
That's
Could
true.
you?
I think
Maybe.
you could.
Indy, I don't think could, so I don't think you could.
Oh, you think he's better than me? Because he plays in the major leagues? Okay.
You think India's a better ball player than I am? Show me
shockingly.
proof. Show me proof. Show me proof. You've never seen me play ball. Okay? I've seen India play defense from time to time, okay?
Happy birthday.
Thank you. We'll start with me, I guess, this one. On
Yeah, for your birthday.
8 to 6 to 6. We're all tied.
The Y'alls, the boys in blue,
Yep.
will go 3-3 against the Rays and Dodgers.
I'm going to say that is a fact. Or do they have to go specifically 3-3 or at least 3-3?
Specifically.
Oh, well, fiction. I mean, yeah. It's
Fiction.
Too very specific.
Yeah, fiction. I mean,
You should have gone
Taking
fact,
the-
boys. That's
taking
a
the
fact.
fifth.
They're
We can
going
check this
3-3. No, fiction. We're not going to check it.
we three have way more possibilities
I mean,
of being
right.
right. than
Hey,
that.
who
So-
We got the
got?
field.
By the way, remember fact or
I'm
fiction?
just excited.
Who
No.
before the final started? I said OKC wins in 7 games. What happened?
You got one right.
What happened?
Good job.
Guy tore his Achilles. After
What
having an
happened?
Amazing first
Hey,
quarter.
Dylan, what happened?
Oklahoma City won in 7 games.
Come on.
We've got 6 chances. Sterling
Don't
has
make me
1.
go back and check all these. We got interns here. We can have them all go back and check them.
That's
Go
true.
check that one.
Check tape.
Well,
Check
all
yourself
of
before you
them.
wreck yourself,
Check them
Lebo.
all.
Check tape.
Correct.
We'll start back with Todd on this one. It is
Final
8 to
three.
6 to 6, still tied. Final three.
Jalen Moore will start week 1.
Just anywhere.
Left tackle.
Okay.
on field goal.
Fiction.
Scout
kicking unit.
team.
Kicking unit.
I'll go fact.
I'm going to say fiction.
Fact.
Oh, wow. Okay. How about
Check
that?
this one too.
Jalen Moore will start week 1.
8 to 7 to 6.
Good job, Dylan. Way to be
All
smart.
Tied up. Dylan now takes the reins on this one.
Say he's going to start at right tackle.
Ooh, hey, how about that? Huh? Left guard.
95 and sunny is better than 55 and cloudy.
We start with
Yeah,
Dylan on this
I'm
one.
going to go fiction.
It is-
If you were going to go sub 40, then I would have
That's
done
why
95, but I'm going to
'cause
go.
everyone knows I would do that.
I'd rather have 55 and cloudy because it's not.
Yeah. Also, sub 40, I'll still go sub 40 over 95.
Yeah,
no,
but
good
you,
point.
Yeah.
but Sterling will choose the heat. So you
Absolutely.
said 95 is better?
Yeah.
Fact.
Than 55 and
Yeah.
cloudy.
Fact.
It's absolutely wrong, but you're going to
Well,
say
are you
fact.
tougher in the
Fact.
heat or cold?
It's
That's
a
where we're
fact,
at.
baby.
He's gonna go
Okay.
fact.
Oh,
he's
baby.
dumb, but he's going fact.
Oh, 95 and sunny.
It's a
Just
fact.
give it to me. It's why San Diego.
Well, you've got it. Go outside, buddy.
I will. Doors off.
Go out there
the
and start
Jeep, go to the
squeegeing off this
pool.
parking lot.
I was doing some yard work yesterday,
Oh,
getting
wow.
a nice
Congrats.
bronze on.
Good for you.
It was lovely. This just
You
sweating.
need to start going to the dermatologist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried
Well-
about your skin.
I put sunscreen on sometimes.
Sometimes.
What?
You put on Broshin.
Band de Soleil.
You don't put on sunscreen. You put
5
on your,
SPF. Put some
your
oil on.
tanning Broshin.
Yeah, it's 4.
That's what he puts on.
It's a nice
Broshin.
4.
It's actually an attractor of sun.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you use? Is that butter? You use
You like-
butter that?
It's olive oil.
Kramer.
You Kramering that? You would butter up there? All right.
I'm out.
Last one. I will start with it. It's 9 to 8 to 7. We're all tied.
All right.
Who's got 7?
This is the
Todd
fun
does.
one.
Dang it.
This is the
Dylan
hard one.
Has 8.
This one's so hard.
Okay, great.
The Royals
Yep.
will end up trading Seth Lugo.
I go first. Fiction.
Fiction.
Yeah, I'll go.
They just don't give
Yeah,
up.
I mean, where am I? Am I 8?
You have 8.
Yeah.
I have 9.
You
Todd
may
has
still be
7.
tied.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll go fiction then.
Yeah, odds are you still be tied.
Odds are.
It's fiction. I thought at least I'd get someone with that one.
I thought about it. I mean, they probably should.
They probably should.
10
will
to
and
9
should.
to
Yeah.
8.
That's why I said
Tied
will.
up.
10 to 9 to 8. We're all tied up.
Close
10
one.
to 9 to 8.
What's the
Well,
bonus
we got to have a
question?
bonus slash tiebreaker here.
We have to have this.
Yeah, because it's tied.
What are the top 5 activities to do when you're at the pool?
So much more room for activities. We'll do that. Top 5 activities at the pool next.
Yeah, not on there though. It's
That's
close.
a game.
That's close.
Sunbathe.
Games can be on here too.
Oh, there's another game.
There's a couple games on here.
Jason, say sunbathe for the 4th time.
Sunbathe.
There we go.
With your broshin.
What's it? Lion.
Yeah.
Is it lion? Lion.
Got to be a lion.
Get your bake on. Is that what you're doing?
Is sunbathe on it?
Hey, that's under the read a book part. That's lay out and read a book. Same.
That's
They're
two
combo.
things.
That's combo.
What's the game? You're
Playing
there?
bags.
Gutter ball. And remember gutter ball?
Yeah,
No.
this whole segment is a gutter ball.
You know, we didn't grow up with pools in our backyard.
Yeah,
I didn't
no
either.
kidding, dude. Seriously.
The neighborhood pool. Gutter ball. We
By
had the
way,
gutter. You
didn't
have a
grow up
ball.
with a neighborhood pool either.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Okay, fine. How about this one? Sharks and minnows. Remember
Okay,
sharks and minnows?
No, I don't. How's that
Our
go?
neighborhood pool was at the fire hydrant broke. That's
Sharks
why we
and
got a
minnows.
neighborhood
Pools in the
pool.
parking lot
Dylan,
right
We got
now.
a neighborhood pool in the
You
parking
got
lot
me.
right
By
now.
the way, the water
Yeah.
has stopped flowing.
I know what
Oh,
that
hey,
is.
It's very gross.
You
out
got
there
me.
right now.
Dylan's got me with sharks and minnows.
Wait,
Sharks and
how
minnows
does sharks and minnows
minnows?
go?
You
What
got a
is that?
guy.
That's like our age of generation. It's
So is it like Marco Polo?
Yeah,
So here, we're too
no.
old, Jason.
Apparently.
Do you know what sharks and minnows
No,
is?
I don't even know.
Intern's
how
too
to
young.
explain
There
it.
must
It was
be
like
a
a-
very finite time.
Yeah, it's like an 8-year window of the most
What's
elite
the,
pool game.
What's the game at the beginning of Squid Games where they
I
all
never
find
watched it.
out?
Never watched Squid Games.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Where
Seems
where
scary.
the person is
like they go forward and stop,
yes,
kind of like
it's
Simon
like red light,
Says.
green light.
red
Yeah,
light,
yeah,
green
yeah.
light.
It's basically like
Kind
red
of.
light,
Okay.
green light for the pool.
Yeah, kind
Nobody
of like
gets shot
that.
though.
No one gets shot.
It's different than Squid Games.
Yeah,
Okay,
much-
well, that's interesting.
Much different in that.
What are your
sense,
other
yes.
games?
So drink beer,
Drink
lay
beer.
out and read a book.
That's
Two.
two things.
Sharks and minnows.
Sharks and minnows.
Gutter ball.
So stupid.
Slaps.
How's gutter ball?
Slaps.
Gutter ball / pool basketball because pool basketball is also really fun. I love pool basketball.
Is gutter ball like pool basketball?
No, what kind of? It's almost like you mix soccer and handball, and you're in the pool. No.
How do you use
What's
your
that
feet?
game
You
that
can't
George
use your
Karloff
feet?
has played in Greece?
Water polo.
Water polo. So what you do is you have a ball.
Is that how you combined soccer and handball? Is
Yeah,
water polo?
Water polo.
Yeah.
Everyone knows this.
Thank you.
So what you do is you have a ball, okay, and it can be 1-on-1, 3-on-3, and
Could it be 3-on-1?
Can it be
wouldn't
2
be
on
as
2
fun.
though? Can it be 2 on 2 though?
4-on-4?
4 might get a little too
What about 2
convoluted.
on
Depends on how
2?
big your pool is.
Yeah, it depends. We didn't have that much
So-
area to
Yeah,
work
your
with.
neighborhood pool is
In
kind
your
of small.
neighborhood pool.
So, but you
Mom,
have the
we
gutter
should
as the
belong to a
goal,
different
okay?
I
The
want to
gutter's the
complain to
goal.
our HOA.
You don't really have a goalie, but it's 3-on-3, and you try and score by tossing a ball into said gutter. You score a goal that way.
Okay, what kind of ball is this?
It can be like a
tennis
typical.
ball
It could be
or-
a tennis ball.
What kind of gutter
that
is
can kind of
this?
hurt a little bit, but
Yeah.
yeah, they're small gutters. They're about the size
Like,
of
would you get
yonder.
like a Nerfy squish?
Nerfy squish
The
boy.
rule-
It's water.
It's water polo.
Okay.
It's water polo.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
your-
if you're
what's your
trying
other
to play
game?
gutter ball, you're just gonna play water.
What's
It's
your
water
other,
polo.
What's your other game?
it's sorry, water polo is cool.
It's fine.
Congratulations, Greece. You got something right.
I don't
America
think they. I don't
and
think
your
that
food.
They, I mean,
And your
America
food.
plays
I
water
love-
polo. Did
I
Greece
love-
invent water polo?
I don't know because
don't
Karl
know.
Loftus maybe did. Who
So
No,
you're just
no, he
gonna,
didn't.
Karl Loftus invented
What?
it.
What
Prove
is? What is?
The last one, trying to do a flipper dive off the diving board, but then more than likely I do a belly flop.
Belly
But
flop.
I like trying
Jumping
to
in
do.
the pool.
I like trying to like get high dive.
Yeah.
You think I'm not going to try and do something cool off it, like a jackknife?
Water polo was invented in Great Britain.
Yes,
Nice job,
England,
Luganis.
Scotland.
Yes.
So nice job, guy. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Karl Loftus.
I think.
I'm
I
still
think
gonna thank
America
him.
won a medal last year, didn't they? Or
Yeah.
whenever that
Yeah.
was.
Yeah,
in
no-
water polo.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
thanks
we
to
got a
Karl
good
Loftus.
good team.
That is, by the way, looks like the worst game in the world to play.
Yeah.
That has
Just
to
treading
be
water the whole
so
time. Can't touch
grueling.
the bottom.
You have
Well,
to damn
Physically,
near.
physically
like as a kid.
grueling.
You have to damn near swim a
Well, you're
lap just to get a
standing
shot
in
on.
the
Yes.
thing. You're
Get
not.
the
Not
height
always. Sometimes
needed.
when I was a kid, I was 6 foot pool depth. I ain't touching that.
There was a shallow part. You stayed in the shallow end,
Did you? I'll play the water polo in the kiddie pool. That's easy. I got
especially
that.
against the 7-year-olds.
Right,
Dominate
absolutely.
'em.
Knee high, boom. You know,
I think my
crying
activities
Everett.
were great.
looking like Adrian Peterson against high schoolers.
Nothing
You know,
wrong with
that's-
that.
Take it like a man.
Like meet the parents.
That's right. It was a big shot.
That's a big shot.
So what's the
I
fifth
thought
one?
you liked the ball. That was it.
Drink beer, lay out and read a book, sharks and minnows, gutter ball / pool basketball, and try and do a flipper dive off the diving
7
board, but then
things.
more than likely belly
Who
flop.
won?
That's so stupid. Nobody. We all lost.
Yeah,
Christian the intern.
You have no music playing.
He's got to have a.
Music's always playing. That's just a given,
Yeah,
Lebo.
but-
It's a
Well,
given.
isn't beer always flowing?
So you
That's
don't
a
s-
given.
you don't-
Donovan Frankenrider's playing in the background, okay?
You
Get
don't,
that
you don't
beach vibe?
socialize with people?
Yes.
While you're there? You don't socialize with people while you're there?
He puts
I do.
headphones on. And gets in there and
Irations play.
plays
Well,
gutter
not
ball.
when I'm reading a book. If
Okay.
you're trying to talk
So
about reading a book,
outside-
get out of here.
So outside of reading a book, are you not socializing with people? Like any of those games involve socializing?
Gutter ball.
Some
hang
do.
out?
Gutter ball and sharks and minnows do.
Okay, so a big part of that socializing.
I think Jason won.
I think I won.
No, intern won.
He didn't
Why?
do anything.
Christian one.
He'd never heard of Sharks and Minnows. He didn't win anything.
I got a
Shoot.
I got a nickname for Christian now,
Yeah.
our intern. So he played baseball in college. He played third base. That is now E5.
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 E5, the intern.
Hey, go clean the parking lot up.
Hey, E5, we need some help out there. All right. We got Emmy with no J, and we got E5 now.
A lot of errors.
Is it? No.
Only one.
Or missed shots.
Yeah. I bet he could rake, though. You know what I mean? He was a bat. He was a bat at third.